Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Becomes the Infernal God and Fought in Ragnarok Movie. Before we start, please go support Raquelme Ricky 1 for writing that awesome fanfic. In a world where women had greater power, Izuku, a boy who suffered from birth, from his mother's rejection to his sister who mistreated him. A boy who dreamed of being a hero even without a quirk, but was destroyed by his idol, Lady Might, who said that a man like him would never be a hero, with a disgusted expression. In this world, people were blessed by the gods who gave them a peculiar power that varies greatly, which, over time, came to be called individuality. However, the luck of having powers fell on women who came to occupy the highest positions, and men were treated only as an object that women could use and discard whenever and however they wished. Prologue. The earth was created, a place where there was only a portion of land called Pangea that, after millions of years, fragmented to form the continents and the division of the oceans. In the beginning of the world, those who ruled it were the dinosaurs, ferocious and often bloodthirsty and carnivorous beings, some herbivores and others omnivores. In this period the deities were born, beings that were extremely strong and unsurpassed. They lived in the sky above the earth and reacted to the rules of the world at will. As deities, they were very arrogant and ignorant to the point of defying something they dubbed the Black Infernal Gates. These hellish black gates were born long before the deities. It has no connection with Thanatos, the god of the underworld, or Hades, the god of hell, being a place that not even these mighty beings had the courage to step into. The Black Infernal Gates took its name from possessing various beings, from demons to dragons, and these beings that lived within these gates were insanely strong, powerful enough to face divinities and emerge victorious without even suffering a scratch. However, the deities did not know this, since everyone who entered never left. The Black Infernal Gate is divided into 6. The base floor, the infernal home, where the black infernal flames resided, flames that burn the soul and body, giving no possibility of reincarnation, and besides that they could burn and rebuild the world from ashes. And because of that, no being could pass, as the fire burned even the strongest deities, obliterating their souls. It was a hellish torture that no one wanted to go through or suffer. The pain of a burning soul was immeasurable. The hellish first floor, the hellish second floor, the hellish third floor, the hellish fourth floor, the hellish sixth floor, and the top floor. The kingdom. It was where beings like demons, even dragons, lived. They were a place where whoever enters dies by demons or by other beings. To give you an idea, the weaker existence of the kingdom could face Hades and emerge victorious, but of course, it would come out with some wounds. However, nothing that its regenerative ability didn't heal quickly. They were immortal beings that possessed an absurd regeneration, being able to regenerate even if their heads were ripped off or their body turned to dust. In the middle of the kingdom, there was a castle. A castle where no one could enter. In the kingdom, the strongest beings were called infernal flames, ranging from number 1 to 10, each of a different race. However, they were the strongest of the races. For example, infernal flame number 1 was a dragon, not just any dragon, but the strongest dragon within the Black Infernal Gates. But not even he could sit on the throne of the castle, since whoever will sit on the throne was the person who would have control over all the flames present in the hell home. If one could control all the flames, he could sit on the castle throne. However, even between billions and billions of years, no one has ever appeared. A person who would be able to control the infernal black flames, capable of burning and rebuilding entire planets thousands and thousands of times. Someone who with just the stamping of his feet would make the entire Black Infernal Gates tremble uncontrollably and make all beings that live there kneel before his presence. The one who would hold the titles of God of Hell's Black Gates, see the Hell God. An existence that would be stronger than any existing god. As time passed, more and more gods, many of them too arrogant that they challenged the Black Infernal Gates with an army, thinking they had a chance if they had more people. But it was all contrary to what they imagined, as they only had to step on the Infernal Black Gate for them to suffer from the infernal black flames. Thus they further increased the power of the Black Infernal Flames, which grew stronger and stronger as more and more people challenged the Black Infernal Gate, thus absorbing their souls and power. And exponentially, they increased the power of the beings within the gates as well. Millennia and millennia have passed until reaching the present day. A world where women held greater power than men, none of whom possessed these abilities. Being considered authorities. They were powers given by the gods who used these, blessed, humans to make him more popular, in order to gain more divine power, since divine power requires people's faith. Men in this society were like slaves, they had no rights. But still, they will never let their hope fade, as they hoped that one day someday a man would finally have an authority. In the exact year 2010, the world has undergone a drastic change. From the sky, several portals began to appear from where the dimensional beasts came out. Humanity was able to counter the dimensional beasts, thanks to the authorities given by the gods. Humans started to divide monsters from this rank. White level, dimensional beasts, beasts that weak that don't pose such a threat to humanity. Totally devoid of intelligence. Blue level, dimensional beasts, beasts that have high defensive power, but don't have high attack strength or fast speed. Have a little intelligence. Green level, dimensional beasts, beasts that have high attack power and speed, but lack good defense. Have a little intelligence. Yellow level, dimensional beasts, beasts that have high attack and defense power, as well as incredible speed. Endowed with a good enough intelligence, but who would not be considered a genius. Orange level, dimensional beasts, beasts that have all stats maxed out, nukes don't even tickle them. Endowed with great intelligence, as well as possessing an authority. But that would still be defeated if it had an army of at least hundreds of thousands that could face both a green-tier beast and a blue-tier beast. Violet level, dimensional beasts, beasts that would be considered a calamity to humanity are beasts that even Lady Might would not gain no matter how much help. Provided with an intelligence superior to orange-level beasts, also possessing authorities, but not just one but several. But that could also be defeated if the army was larger than 2 million people that would defeat yellow and orange tier beasts. Red level, dimensional beasts, total danger to humanity. Beasts impossible to defeat even with the help of every human on Earth. Represented by pure catastrophe. Even some deities would have problems facing these beings. However, it was very rare, as it only has 5 scattered around the world, 1 on each continent. But humans forgot one. The Black Infernal Gates, a place that was categorized as black in ancient times. What did you mean? I meant that not even the deities would have a chance to go against the monsters that lived there. Prologue 2. In the year 2010, something happened that humanity called breaking dungeons. Monsters from another dimension began to invade Earth, causing destruction wherever they went. In return, the gods began to give some of their power, who came to be called authority by humans. With that they created the apostles, beings who carried some of the power of the God who chose them, and this increased the divine power of the God, a power that was moved from faith. However, those who received these blessings were women. What resulted in men being considered slaves, who only served for population reproduction, nothing more. With that, the awakened ones who are called heroes were born, and with them, people who use power for their own interests who came to be called villains. Inequality was immense towards a man who had no right to anything. In the year 2019, this year a child was born named Izuku. Izuku was Izumi's twin brother. Being a man, he was soon despised from the moment he was born by his mother, Inko. That you didn't want a baby boy in your family. So the years went by and the mistreatment increased. Tortures were constant. Leaving him hungry was always, since he had to eat street food. His sister despised him and beat him every day. And whenever something broke in the house, she blamed him, which resulted in him being beaten and left almost to death. He decided to train his body and read several books, magazines, manga that contained fights, etc. As his mother didn't give him anything, he had to work to get money to buy. He wanted to die, but he was afraid of dying too. He's already tried to commit suicide several times. The torture and humiliation got even worse when his sister's friend Katsumi Bakugo started visiting the house. She had a quirk regarding explosions, and she used it to hit Izuku. Izumi acquired her mother's quirk, telekinesis. A skill that moves things with the power of the mind. Izuku, please stop. He could barely speak, his voice barely came out of fear seeing his sister and Katsumi torture him. Izumi, you shut your mouth. She kicked Izuku, sending him away. She and Katsumi started to laugh. Katsumi, dogs do best eating on the floor, she said, throwing Izuku's food on the floor. Well, it wasn't even food, it was the leftovers they had eaten for dinner and were giving it to Izuku like he was a dog. Izuku, in tears, started to eat the food. He was starving and cold, but he couldn't question, as he didn't want to go through the tortures again. Izumi stomped on his head, causing him to hit the ground hard, while Katsumi blew up Izuku's food. Katsumi, a worthless man like you doesn't even deserve to live, do society a favor and kill yourself. Izumi smiled and whispered in Katsumi's ear. Katsumi, ha ha ha, good idea Izumi-chan. She went to the kitchen and took a knife and gave it to Izumi. Izumi took the knife and made a small cut on her wrist, to then throw the knife at Izuku and start crying and screaming. Izumi, Emmo and mother mommy, Izuku hit me. Inko, who heard, quickly ran to where she was and saw Izumi's fist cut and the knife in Izuku's hands. Inko, you ungrateful brat, I give you everything and you still hurt your sister. She grabbed Izuku by the neck and took him to the room. From there, one could hear Izuku's helpless cries for pity. After her torture, Izuku left the house with her entire body bloodied and with several cuts on her face, arm, belly and neck. There, near the bridge, he saw a villain running from Lady Might. When the villain saw him, she ran towards her to use him as a means of escape. Lady Might, hold back villain for me. Lady Might, I will punish you. In this he saw that whoever was the medium of exchange was a simple man. What made her look down on Izuku? Lady Might, a simple misfortune idiot man. I will save the world, not a man. So she attacked the villain without caring about Izuku. Lady Might defeated the villain and Izuku was freed. Izuku, Lady Might, I've always dreamed of being a hero. At that he looked at Lady Might, who had a disgusted expression on her face. Lady Might, a simple man wanting to be a hero. A man like you would never be a hero, she said, leaving them not to be close to Izuku. These words totally destroyed Izuku, who was crying in anguish and misfortune of being a man. His biggest dream had been destroyed. He no longer had a motivation other than to want to live. But that was soon destroyed when he saw a white level, dimensional beast coming towards him. His fear soared and he tried to run, but the dimensional beast grabbed his foot and brutally ripped him off. Even though they didn't pose such a threat to humanity, they were still beasts and beasts are beasts. No useless civilian like him could defeat a beast. Izuku tried his best to escape that dimensional beast, but nothing was effective. There he saw an iron bar and took it. Trembling, Izuku hit the beast on the head and it began to bleed and scream. The blood of the dimensional beast smeared across Izuku's clothes and face. Izuku, goodbye wretched world, if only I had power. The dimensional beast took the iron bar from his head and, even totally lacking in intelligence, hit Izuku's body, making this scream wildly. Izuku, almost dead, rolled over and fell off the bridge. So he was carried by the current to a forest. With Izuku, he had woken up after a whole day passed out. He looked at his body, where he saw his wounds even deeper, the lack of one of his legs, the iron bar still in his body. Izuku, I know I died. Crawling, Izuku approached some plants. Izuku, this will help me get this iron bar. He tore off the leaves and wrapped them around his leg, and putting a little force, he managed to pull the iron bar off. An immense pain coursed through Izuku's body, as his nervous system went haywire. Your brain just couldn't take the pain and turned off one of its parts. So Izuku completely lost the movement of his legs and a part of his memories. All that remained was the memories of the hatred he felt, of his fear. The memories of the tortures and humiliations he suffered, of the misfortunes that happened in a lifetime just for being a man. This served as fuel for him, and then Izuku started to move, crawling across the floor. His wounds opened even wider as his blood began to spurt. His eyes fluttered with dripping blood, giving a horrible scene, worthy of a horror movie where the killer tortures his victims. His eyes didn't cry anymore. Instead of tears, blood came out. Several of his veins ruptured, preventing the pumping of blood to his heart, which slowly stopped beating. His facial expression became hideous. Blood flowed from his eyes, his nose showed his bones. Your lips full of cuts. His lower sides were gone, all of his teeth were missing. Your body full of bites that wasted your flesh. On his deathbed, Izuku still continued to crawl. Practically dead, Izuku felt that his hand, totally disfigured, had touched something. His hands had touched the black infernal gates, but he didn't know about the name. His blood began to flow and began to circulate in the gate that began to open. The black infernal gates need blood so they can open, and with the amount of blood that flowed from Izuku, it soon opened. Izuku entered the gate even though he didn't know where it would lead. Izuku, with his body practically dead, opened his eyes and started to look around the place. Izuku, where am I? I died? There he saw black flames form above him. Izuku, even in that situation, can feel in awe of the color of the flames. Izuku, what beautiful flames! In that he saw the flames began to stick to his body. Izuku grew. He grunted in pain as he felt the black flames touch his body. There he saw the black flames turn his arm to nothing but dust. Izuku, what? Ugh. You. Why-oh. His body began to be incinerated by the black flames. Izuku, hot, 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 this hurts too much, this is worse than my life. His face and body was quickly incinerated as his screams became more and more harrowing. In that he saw his soul separate from his already totally incinerated body. Izuku, my body was completely incinerated, is this my soul? Again he saw the black flames cling to his soul. Izuku, isn't my suffering over yet? He thought desperately, seeing the black flames begin to burn his body. Then the black flames began to burn his soul. The pain of a soul being tortured was much worse than its physical body. It was simply billions of times more painful to feel all of his spiritual essence being burned alive. So your millennial torture began. While he was tortured for thousands of years because of the black flames, in the real world not even a month has passed. Izuku, how long will I have to suffer? How long has it been since this hell started? He started screaming more and more as his voice slowly stopped echoing. The black infernal flames grew stronger and stronger with each passing second. Izuku, why am I not dying? Free me from this pain. Finally, the black infernal flames reached their maximum potency. At this level they could burn and rebuild entire worlds easily, countless and countless times, in an infinite and never-ending process. Thus, millions and millions of years have passed inside the black infernal gates. However, in the real world not even a single year has passed. In these millions and millions of years that have passed, the stronger the flames have become endlessly. The black infernal flames continued to burn, and along with them the pain also increased. Not only the black flames, but also the other infernal flames that had been there. The flames red, green, yellow, blue, white, violet, sky blue, gold and brown. Izuku's soul continued to burn for an eternity. In the time he spent suffering, he began to reflect on his motivations, on eliminating his hatred, his rancor. He would want to live his life normally when he left here. Time passed and he felt more and more distant. I couldn't feel any more feelings, not anger, hate, fury. Aside from his happiness and hope of getting out of there, all other feelings he had were completely erased. But with time, Izuku got used to the black flames and the pain of his soul being burned. Izuku, I'm still here. Over the countless years, Izuku grew accustomed to the black flames that burned at over 30 billion degrees. That's in the initial form, since when it reaches its maximum potential, it can't even be measured anymore. Izuku, in the end, I completely lost track of time. Beauty, let's look for something interesting, he shouted excitedly. even if in his vision only black infernal flames appear. Izuku, at first I didn't think about anything other than the pain I was feeling. But what if there's something here? Like a treasure or something? At that he looked up and saw the black flames blast a hole. Izuku, there's a fireless hole up there. Izuku, let's check it out and see what it is. Hup woo. He started to fly. Izuku, as I'm just a soul, I can move anywhere with just a thought. Izuku, this is really useful, he celebrated. Izuku, looking from here, I see various types of flames. Izuku, red, black, green, yellow, blue, white, violet, sky blue, gold and brown. This is fantastic, hell shouldn't be so amazing to behold. In that he saw a glow among the flames. Izuku, What is Akil? He saw a red crystal/gem. Izuku, damn, there's a red gem in that flame. I could sell this for a fortune, oh yeah, there are no salespeople in hell. In that he saw the gem break, and the red fire begin to gather in his body. Izuku, she merged with me with my soul. He looked at the flames and saw that the red was missing. Izuku, He didn't finish when in his hand the red flames formed. Izuku, the sea red flames, he stammered, not understanding why he was able to control the red fire. Izuku, gems are part of hell if that's the case. These gems, are there more of them? So he went looking for the gems/crystals. Brown yolk. Blue gem. Violet gem. Yellow gem. Green gem. White gem. Golden gem. Sky blue gem. So he managed to get all the gems of all colors and make them join him. It was an even more painful process than he could have imagined, but thanks to it he could now control the flames of their respective colors. But he didn't find the black color gem. No matter how hard he looked, he couldn't find it. After a few more countless years, he still hasn't found the black colored gem. Then he saw the black flames begin to gather around his body, burning again. This time he felt pain again, the pain having his soul burned, but soon that pain disappeared along with the flames that merged in his body. Izuku, happy I put out the flames of hell, now I can go live my life, I need to get out of here as soon as possible. But he realized he couldn't. Izuku, oh, I don't have a body and I don't know how to run away. At this the white flames he had absorbed began to shape his body. Izuku, the white flames pair, what's that? The white fire shaped his body the way it was before. Izuku, wow, fire turned into flesh. Does. He tried to break his arm, but nothing happened. His body was made of other flames, meaning he was technically intangible. Izuku, my body is made of pure flames, that's amazing, but this is dangerous. He saw his body begin to spew out the flames. Izuku, that's it, I don't know how long I've been here, but the only thing I can do is train and improve my proficiency with all the infernal flames. Besides that, he would try to recreate the techniques he saw in the manga he read. So a few more million years passed as he trained all the infernal flames to reach the highest level with them. And he managed to master and control them to a supreme degree, a degree impossible to attain even among the beings within the black infernal gates. A level no one would dream of reaching, the top of the top. From what he's read of the manga, the protagonists had to use some sort of charm or have immense concentration. But he was different, for the infernal flames would move without him even sending them. In this training time, he adapted all the techniques he learned from his readings, thus taking them for himself and improving them so that they can withstand the infernal flames. He developed many skills. 3 of them he learned right from the start. What were regeneration, immortality, and intangibility? He could regenerate from a single molecule, atom, particle, or even smaller but still existing thing. Immortality, and even if he died, would come back again, for he would resurrect. The intangibility, he was the fire element itself, the incarnation of fire, that is, he was intangible to physical attacks and even quirks would have no effect on him, not even soul-directed attacks would have any effect on him. The creation of any weapon from fire. He simply had a full arsenal of weapons, all he wanted made from hellfire. Izuku also discovered that each color of fire had a different property. For example, blue fire had the property of ice along with it, that is, it froze and burned. Green fire had the property of poison along with it, that is, it poisoned and burned. White fire had the sacred property along with it, meaning it served more as a form of healing. Red fire was normal fire. Yellow fire had the lightning/thunder property together, i.e. it electrified and burned. The brown fire owned the land. Sky blue had the property of water. Golden fire had all the other properties except white fire. And black fire had all the other properties, being able to choose which element to use in conjunction with black fire. The most diverse elements existed there: the darkness, the wind, and many others. His art with the sword, dagger, spear, bow, sickles, and etc. has reached an unbelievable level. Izuku trained with all kinds of weapons so that, in combat, he doesn't get disadvantaged by the lack of weapon. He also developed an eye ability, which he dubbed Eye of the Soul. An eye ability that gave the wielder a more perfect view of what is happening around them, being able to see in more possible detail than a human would ever imagine, as well as predicting the future. Izuku began to wander through total darkness with no intended path, as there was only pitch and nothing else. Then he saw a door that was open and entered it. "Izuku, fresh air?" He yelled in shock at the air he was feeling as soon as he walked through the door. Then he looked up and saw a gigantic bird looking at him. It was a phoenix, an immortal bird that would return from the ashes of hell. It was a phoenix that has never been seen in history, as it had one half of fire and the other of ice. "Phoenix, who are you, outsider?" The phoenix's imposing voice almost made Izuku kneel. Izuku, but people know me more as Deku." "Phoenix, did you complete the quest?" "Izuku, what mission?" he asked, confused. "Phoenix, the quest to conquer the infernal flames." "Izuku, are you talking about those flames that burn even the soul of the person, correct?" The great phoenix nodded positively. "Izuku, if so, I do have control over the flames." "Phoenix, then place your fingers on the gate." The great phoenix moved out of the way and a gate appeared. The phoenix looked very carefully at Izuku. The new colors of flame appeared on his fingers, and one more that he discovered after a long time wandering through the darkness. The heavenly flames, which was the junction of all the infernal flames and the abilities they carried. The phoenix saw Izuku place his fingers and turn, causing the door to open. "Izuku, did I have to open it?" The phoenix showed surprise on its expression. Should there really be someone capable of controlling all of the infernal flames? The great phoenix bowed to Izuku and said, "Phoenix, in the billions of years it has lived, it has never seen anyone so exceptional. It will be my greatest honor to serve you, god of Hell's black gates." Izuku was kind of intrigued by what the great phoenix had just said. He a god? Izuku entered the door and saw another landscape, totally different from the great phoenix landscape. So he went through the floors. On the second floor. On third floor. On the fourth floor. On the fifth floor. On the sixth floor. All floors he passed, fulfilling some tests given by the floor guardians. The guardians were the strongest beings within the black infernal gates. So Izuku arrived on the top floor. The nicknamed Kingdom. In the kingdom, the beings that live in the kingdom have a peaceful life and without many things to do. They only hoped that someone could sit on the throne and command everyone present there, no matter their race. Suddenly, an immense gate appeared, and quickly all beings living in the kingdom crowded close, now knowing who it was. The great gates opened and revealed someone walking slowly. The beings within kingdom felt the kingdom begin to shake violently according to the prophecy. Infernal flames number 1 through 10 also appeared to see the being that caused the quake in the realm. The beings were afraid of the unexpected visit of a being that fulfilled what the prophecy said. "Deku, that's weird, where's the guardian?" At that he looked at the beings that were in front of him, looking at him intently. "Author, I will call him Deku." "Deku, are you the people who live here?" He didn't get an answer. The inhabitants' answer came from the shaking of their heads. Deku, I see, so I ended up in the kingdom, right? Again everyone responded by shaking their heads. Deku, from demons to dragons. Everything the guardians told me was correct. So he began to walk, as the crowd made room for him to pass. Deku was heading towards the castle that was in the center, being followed by the others. In the castle, Deku easily entered the castle and headed towards the throne. The sound of his footsteps echoed through the hall. The infernal flames were in a mixture of anguish and curiosity, just like the others. They had never seen anyone pass the castle gates, which meant he was the chosen one. But now came the main problem, which was to sit on the throne. The sound of his footsteps echoed through the hall. The infernal flames were in a mixture of anguish and curiosity, just like the others. They had never seen anyone pass the castle gates, which meant he was the chosen one. But now came the main problem, which was to sit on the throne. Deku smiled and walked towards the throne with larger and faster steps. Upon arriving there, he saw a throne with swords stuck in the ground. Deku passed the swords and sat on the throne. The inhabitants of the realm, including the infernal flames, didn't know what to say. The only emotion that went through their heads was happiness, to finally meet the one who would lead them. Deku looked at them smiling. Deku raised his hand, and from it all the infernal flames came out, and went from body to body. Deku, I know if you don't have control over the infernal flames, so I'll teach you how to control them. No one could contain their excitement and enthusiasm. So they knelt down and lent themselves to Deku. Deku, raise your heads, we will be companions from today. Don't treat me like a king or anything. Treat me like one of your own. Everyone raised their heads and started screaming, but soon stopped as the infernal flames were burning their bodies and recreating them. So Deku started training everyone in there to become even stronger. It was there that they learned the regenerative ability thanks to white fire. Information. Name Izuku. Age plus 500 million years. Race: human mixed race, god mixed race, spirit mixed race, dragon mixed race. Visual. Powers: soul manipulation, energy manipulation, matter manipulation, conceptual manipulation, fate manipulation, void manipulation, law manipulation, weather manipulation, origin manipulation, dream manipulation, chance type 1, 2 and 3, destruction manipulation, case manipulation, elemental manipulation, chance manipulation. Abstract existence type 1, reality manipulation, life manipulation, cosmic manipulation, probability manipulation, time manipulation, space manipulation, mind manipulation, manipulation of time, fear, laws of physics manipulation, death manipulation, summoning, intangibility, elemental and energetic type, immortality type 1, 2, 3, 7, 9 and 11, regeneration rank A. Elementary powers: ice, fire, earth, water, wind, light, darkness, lava, lightning, etc. Abilities: Hell's black flame, Hell's white flame, Hell's red flame, Hell's pink flame, Hell's green flame, Hell's golden flame, Hell's blue flame, Hell's violet flame, Hell's brown flame, heavenly flame, lightning, fire, water authority, ice, lava, light, earth, darkness, wind, creation, summoning, mimicry of powers, absorption. Existential erasure, reactive evolution, nullification of powers. Soul's Eye. Description: eyes that Izuku created through his training. It allows him to see the essence of a person's soul, in addition to removing the soul. Weather forecast allows Izuku to predict the future, watch the opponent's movements. This eye allows Izuku to see in the most perfect detail. He can see everything. It gives a 360-degree view. And it's always active in your left eye. Reactive evolution: the same attack does not work twice on him. Nullification of powers can nullify the powers and abilities of others, negating their effects. Mentality. Intelligence, extraordinary genius. Combat token. Dimensionality, 4D. Rank, 2A, multiverse infinite, capable of significantly affecting, creating and or destroying a countable infinite number of space-time continuums. Existential status, spiritual. Attack, multiverse infinite. Defense, multiverse infinite. Speed infinite. Strength immeasurable. Stamina unlimited. Range multiverse. Variations: Monarch of Destruction / Infernal God Dragonite. Personality: playful, likes to tease anyone. Even though he is cold, he will still help people, of course, if he wants to. Titles: Monarch of Destruction, God of Hell, God of Hell's Black Gates, the King. Dragon form. Dragonid form. Monarch shape. Infernal form. Equipment: Shirya. Description: an armor that forms when he reverts to his human form after he transforms into his dragon form. Absolute defense, destruction induction. Blades of the Palace of Destruction. Description: blades that represent the pure concept of destruction, chaos, and disorder. Existential erasure, chaos manipulation, law manipulation, power nullification, conceptual manipulation. Rimuru can appear a few times, so this is his stats. Oh, and Rimuru won't be like at the end of the light novel, will be a brand new name, Rimuru Tempest. Age, not applicable. Race, not applicable, he can be all races he wants. Visual. Powers: absolute manipulation of chance, absolute manipulation of fate, absolute manipulation of space, absolute dimensional manipulation, absolute chaotic manipulation, absolute manipulation of nothing, absolute manipulation of life, absolute manipulation of death, absolute manipulation of reality, absolute manipulation of time, absolute manipulation of matter, chance all types, abstract existence type 1, absolute manipulation of logic, absolute manipulation of non-existence, absolute manipulation of logic, absolute manipulation of dreams, absolute manipulation of mind, absolute manipulation of soul, absolute emotion manipulation, absolute climatic manipulation. Omni-absorption, creation, absolute immunity Mach, non-existence, absolute will manipulation, absolute physics manipulation, absolute law manipulation, absolute energy manipulation, absolute elementary manipulation, omniarchy, omniform, omniscience, omnireplication, omniseparation, omniscient absolute manipulation of force, absolute life force. Absolute restoration, absolute will, absolute manipulation of limit, absolute manipulation of concepts, absolute manipulation of cycles, absolute manipulation of existence, absolute manipulation of definition, absolute manipulation of existential plane, absolute manipulation of superpowers, creation and absolute superpower immunity. Metaphysics manipulation, omnibus manipulation, origin manipulation, paradox manipulation, pataphysics manipulation, absolute supernatural manipulation, absolute perspective manipulation, absolute plot manipulation, absolute truth manipulation, absolute manipulation of definition, absolute manipulation of miracles, absolute manipulation of paradox, absolute manipulation of wholeness, absolute manipulation of order, absolute manipulation of biology, absolute manipulation of identity, absolute manipulation of vectors, immortality type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, intangibility ity all types, regeneration A rank. Elementary powers. Anyone and everyone you can imagine. Abilities: author's authority, ruler's authority, king's authority, time authority, space authority, fate authority, Azathoth, creation, divine haki, demon lord haki, true dragon haki, creation god, information god, Mugen, void barrier, complete arsenal, absolute change, absolute destruction, absolute existence, absolute magic, absolute law creation, absolute science, absolute wish fulfillment, alpha reality, immortality, absolute induction of existence, induction of non-existence, reality omega, omni-detection, omni-personification, omni-denial, omnicide, hypercompetence, omnilingualism, omnifabrication, perfection, physical divinity, superpowers anchoring, preservation. Primordial entity physiology, singularity, absolute invincibility, oneness, unity, universal irreversibility, absolute condition, ultimate erasure, omni-manipulation, manifestation of imagination, timelessness, any and all authorities. Personality: playful, very calm, likes to tease his wives, serious at times, likes to have fun with his enemies. Mentality: intelligence, omniscient. Combat token. Dimensionality: not applicable. Hierarchy: not applicable. Existential status: transcendent, perfect, aseity, infinite, eternity, simplicity, immutability. Attack: not applicable. Defense: not applicable. Speed: not applicable. Strength: not applicable. Validity: not applicable. Range: not applicable. Variations: not applicable. Physical and psychological weaknesses: literally none. Titles: the Creator and the Destroyer, God of the Void, Supreme Entity, Primordial God, Primordial King, King of Kings, God of Gods, the Creative Chaos, God of Dragons, First of all races, above all and all, Divinity Supreme, the True Omnipotent, Sultan of Chaos, the Lord of the Ancients, Leader of the Outer Gods. Dragon form. Author: think they have 10 pairs of wings. Rimur's draconic form is the size of hundreds of millions of galaxies. Dragonid form. Divine form. Author: half of the hair is white and the other half is black. Representing good and bad, dark and light, the sun and moon. And he has a bouquet of black flowers that, with every flower petal that is lost, a outer verse plus is destroyed or created. Called Deku. Oh, how many years has it been? How many years have I been here in this eternal suffering? I've spent time training my soldiers so they can reach a good level of proficiency with infernal flames. Many of them became even stronger. Well, good. I also trained with the weapons I had found stuck near the throne, and found that they all had an ego and a life of their own. From what I've heard, the strongest beings within the kingdom were called infernal flames from 1 to 10, but I found this name too boring to call them, so I went on to call them kings, changing according to their race. I have battled and engaged in so many battles against the beings that live in the kingdom. It was quite strange to me, as I didn't expect the kingdom to be the size of Earth, planet Earth, in real scale. There were several kingdoms that were ruled by other kings, but the palace I was in was the strongest kingdom there was. Even if I tried to make the transactions peacefully, no one wanted to settle it that way. So I had to go to war, but I didn't use my army, since the army is me. I fought hundreds of millions of beings in the kingdom, and killed them all, so I gained respect from fear. Even if it's not what I wanted initially, But it was worth it. I met a friend from a kingdom I conquered who, in his last moments, left his daughters for me to take care of them. I welcomed them. And I continued with my achievements. The entire kingdom already knew of my fame. I was even nicknamed the Monarch of Destruction. I put the entire kingdom, which I came to call the Hell Land, in the palms of my hands. Unify and I have absolute control over everything that happens. That's why I was called the king. Well, I was simply the owner of everything in the Hell Lands. Ha 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 ha, it was so much fun. Plus I can turn into a dragon. That was the most amazing thing that ever happened. I discovered this randomly, when it was still unifying all the Hell Lands. I know. I am incredible. When I took possession of Castle Inferno, I now held full power within the Black Infernal Gates, meaning I could leave and enter whenever and if I wanted to. It made me happy. I can finally get out of this hellish world. How much has the world changed? I hope that men have now come to receive authorities like women. Deku off. Deku was sitting on his throne analyzing the exit from inside the Black Infernal Gates. Deku, sighs, let's see how much the world has changed since I disappeared, he said, leaving the throne. He started walking and everyone who was there lined up on their knees. Deku, raise your heads, I already told you to treat me like one of your own. Where are you going, sir? This was Mayu, a succubus who is part of the kings. Deku, oh Mayu, I'm going to the human world, he said with a smile. Mayu ran and hugged Deku with a perverted expression. Mayu, perverted voice, I'll miss you, master. Leave the master alone, Mayu. This was Nintu, a griffin that is part of the kings. Mayu, shut up, you want to hug Master too, Nintu. Nintu and nothing. Stop you two, it's the Master's decision, let him go. This Ryujin, a dragon that is part of the kings. True, Mayu, Nintu, let the Master go. This was Alcatraz, a serpent that is part of the kings. Won't it be too dangerous, Master? This was Maya, a phoenix that is part of the kings. Nah, the Master is too strong if he was weak, how could he control the infernal flames? This was Nala, a tigress who is one of the kings. Deku, don't worry if I need to, I'll call you right away to help me. So he said goodbye to everyone and headed towards the only exit. Deku looked at the gate with great nostalgia. He didn't know if he was angry that the gate had tortured him like that, or if he liked the gate because it had shown him a completely different world. Deku, all I have to do is walk through the door and I'll be able to see the world again. I want to know how long it's been since I ended up here. From what I can remember, I ended up here when I was 7 years old, he said, putting on a smile and pushing the door. Meanwhile in the world, it had been 10 years since Deku entered the Black Infernal Gates. In this time, men began to awaken abilities as well. Now yes, their prayers were answered and they were able to match women. Izumi and Inko were sorry. At first they didn't care much about Deku's disappearance, but as time passed, guilt and anxiety hit them and they started to feel more than garbage. Katsumi Bakugo continued with his same level of complexity, of feeling superior to others for having a quirk. Izumi bitterly regretted all the cruelties she did to Deku. Inko was the same. And if one day they found him again, they would ask for forgiveness for everything he's done for him. In the world, there were still dimensional invasions that resulted in dimensional beasts, and therefore, in Japan, a school was created where heroes were trained to combat these problems. The 5 red tier dungeons have never been completed so far, but you are sent to these dungeons a few expeditions to always measure the tier to see if it would go down or if it would go up. With Deku, he emerged from within the Black Infernal Gates and found himself in a forest. Deku off, finally free. He placed his hand on his hip, surveying the surroundings. Deku, how long has it been since my era? He took a big leap that made him stop in the clouds and looked around with his eye of the soul. Deku, dungeons still exist, he said, rubbing his chin. Deku, well, it doesn't matter, I heard that dungeons were divided into colors. Red was the most dangerous. Farther away, he saw a red dungeon. Deku, it must be one of those, let's see what I find. In an instant, he appeared in front of the red dungeon he saw in the distance. About that, there was a person looking at him. Although this person doesn't know who exactly Izuku was, just because of the insane aura he released. She could tell he wasn't even a human. Brunhilde, the eldest of the 13 Valkyrie sisters. She rose up against the gods in an attempt to save humanity. The gods had decided to decree the end of humanity. But Brunhilde intervened and made Ragnarok happen, saying that they were cowarding. What made the deities angry and accepted this battle? Gods versus humans. A battle to the death. Brunhilde had come to the human world to find the last competitor who would battle Ragnarok. However, unfortunately for her, no one there would be able to kill a deity. Even Lady Might wouldn't even make a mortal wound to a god. And now, she's seen a human. To be honest, she doesn't even know if he's human, enter the most dangerous and deadly dungeon of all. The Hydra's lair. It was home to an insanely strong Hydra who also possessed the immortality of the Hydra that Hercules had killed to fulfill the 12 jobs. However, the Hydra that is in this dungeon was a little stronger than the Hydra that Hercules killed, as it was a creation of He. Brunhilde, who would this be? She thought, intrigued, following Deku into the dungeon. With Deku. Deku was looking at the red dungeon intently. It was a red dungeon, something that would be impossible to complete, but he felt nothing in front of this dungeon. Deku, what's happening to me? I don't even feel fear anymore, he said, taking her heart. The dungeon was strong for any other being, but for him, the energy that was coming out of this dungeon didn't quench anything. Deku, well, whatever. I'll go in anyway. So he entered the Hydra lair. Brunhilde also entered following the narrow paths so as not to be discovered. Deku walked calmly through the dungeon, as all the monsters that came close to him burned his body and soul. Brunhilde followed him in awe of the little skills shown so far by the human. Grahag. Deku looked up and saw the great Hydra that was the dungeon boss. He had spent more than 10 minutes killing the monsters he encountered to see if Hydra showed up soon. Deku finally appeared, Hydra. His smile was strongly outlined. Deku, have fun, Hydra. With incredible speed, he appeared and kicked the Hydra's head, sending it sliding. Hydra had 2 of its heads destroyed with Deku's blow, but soon 4 were born. Deku, I had forgotten about that. You regenerate infinitely thanks to the amount of heads you cut off. Nonetheless, his entire body was enveloped in black flames that began to melt, and everything around him turned to dust. Brunhilde also felt the sudden increase in heat. It was an exorbitant temperature even for a demigod like her to handle. Deku, see the heat the black infernal flames emit. Author, ignore what is written and so does this person. Deku raised his hand a little. Deku, have you ever felt your body and soul being burned at 30 billion degrees? He said with his amused smile. Brunhilde was shocked by what she heard. Brunhilde, 30 billion degrees? She thought altered. Not even the heat of the sun reaches such temperatures. Brunhilde, who is this boy? His curiosity grew every moment. Deku burn. He pointed his hand at Hydra and a gigantic flame of black fire shot out towards Hydra. Give where only the painful screams of the Hydra could be heard that felt its whole body being incinerated, in addition to the pain of its soul too. Deku turned and looked at where Brunhilde was hiding. Deku, when will you get out of there? He asked, looking calmly at the stone Brunhilde was on. Brunhilde emerged from behind the stone with a puzzled expression. Brunhilde, how could you see me? I was using invisibility magic, so how? Deku, huh? Like this? I just had it, and that's it. I had already noticed its presence long before I even entered this dungeon. He walked towards Brunhilde. Deku, what do you want? His face was extremely close to Brunhilde's mouth. Deku, you are very beautiful. I could make you my wife, he said, taking Brunhilde's chin. Brunhilde blushed slightly at the sudden approach. Besides the fact that the man was very handsome, if we were to compare him with the gods and beings she has seen until today, he was, without a doubt, the most beautiful of all. Deku, what do you want, my dear? He asked, separating from Brunhilde. Brunhilde regained her composure and said, Brunhilde, I came to ask you for help. Deku, sorry, I'm not one for giving favors, he said, leaving. Brunhilde, the deities. Deku stopped and turned to her. Deku, that's intriguing. Did you just speak deities? The gods? Brunhilde shook her head positively. Brunhilde, that's right. The gods want to exterminate the human race. Deku, interesting. And let me see, you must be a Valkyrie? Brunhilde, yes, I'm a Valkyrie, the oldest one too. Deku, oh, my future wife is a Valkyrie, he said, teasing Brunhilde. Brunhilde, stop these jokes, please, she said, embarrassed. Deku, do you want me to do something? He asked with his calm face. Brunhilde, I would appreciate it. Deku, but I don't. However, I was interested, what god would I have to face? He asked curiously. Brunhilde, it will happen depending on my will. Deku, I see, but it doesn't seem that interesting to me, he said, putting on his mask. Brunhilde was a little sad about this. Deku, however, I will accept to fight, because I want some fun. Brunhilde lit up again. Deku, I think I should show something so it can be accepted, right? Brunhilde, no, you. She didn't finish when Deku grabbed her waist and, using her speed, soon appeared near the black infernal gates. Brunhilde got a little dizzy from the quick trip she had. But when she recovered, she was surprised to see the black gates. Brunhilde, this is... Deku, that's what you're seeing, the black infernal gates. Takes Brunhilde's hand. Come, let's go inside. Brunhilde desperately tried to escape, but it was useless. She knows perfectly well the stories about Hell's Black Gate. So they entered the Black Infernal Gates. Deku teleported right away to the first floor. Brunhilde, feeling the fresh wind hit her face, was very surprised. Deku, we're on the first floor of the Black Gate. There was one before, but I already mastered it, so it's become unusable for now. He kept holding Brunhilde. In the distance, Brunhilde was already able to see the big monster that was protecting a door. Brunhilde, watch out for that monster, she yelled, putting herself in front of Deku. Deku, don't worry, he's the Great Phoenix. Brunhilde, GGGG Big F Phoenix? She yelled, altered. The Great Phoenix was one of the 5 primal beasts stronger than any deities in existence. Great Phoenix, nice to see you, Hell God. She bowed before Deku. Deku, come on, get your head up, he said with a smile. Brunhilde's face turned pale. Did the Great Phoenix just bow down and speak so respectfully to a human? Brunhilde, Aji Great Phoenix. Great Phoenix, who is she, Hell God? Deku, a Valkyrie. The Great Phoenix shook its head. Deku continued to talk to the Great Phoenix, waiting for Brunhilde to wake up from her trance. So he took her to the other floors, where there she saw the other 4 primordial beasts. It was quite a shock to Brunhilde to learn that all these beings followed Deku, the human, who no longer knows if he is human. Deku, come on, don't be so surprised. I am only the god of Hell's Black Gates, he said, bursting into laughter at Brunhilde's expression. Then he reached the top floor. In the kingdom. As soon as the gates that connected that kingdom, everyone knelt in a row so Deku could pass. They had no doubt that it was Deku, as the only one who would make it back after crossing the Black Gates. Deku, come on, I already told you to stop kneeling before me. I'm just a king who arrived in an unusual way. Brunhilde looked at the monsters that were kneeling. Those monsters that were kneeling to Deku were beings that killed deities easily. Mainly the 5 primal beasts that were much stronger than any deity that exists so far. Even Hades, Odin, Poseidon, Zeus, or he or anyone else wouldn't cut them. And guess what? All these ancient beings faithfully follow all the orders that the human says. Brunhilde, with him we can win, she thought, igniting her hope again. Deku, let's go there, he said, pointing to the castle. Brunhilde didn't answer, she just hid behind him with a little fear. Deku, come on my dear, don't hold back, he said, stroking Brunhilde's hair. When everyone who heard the Infernal God say, darling, they quickly raised their heads to see the monarch's wife. Brunhilde went with Deku to the castle that was in the center of the great country. Well, he simply unified the entire kingdom in the palm of his hand. Everything and everyone who lived in the kingdom, including the other realms, now serve him faithfully. With Deku, he was second on the way to the throne. Brunhilde looked around too. All ancient beings and ancestors lived there, the elder beings who could destroy everything they wanted and if they wanted to. Deku headed towards his throne. The 7 sinners and the 7 virtues were still stuck in the ground. When Brunhilde saw the weapons that were next to the throne, she fainted. She couldn't help but faint. It was the 14 primordial weapons. The weapons that were born and have the same power level as the 5 primal beasts. And there they were all, standing on the floor of the throne. Deku had to pick her up and wait for her to wake up. In that he saw the door that gave entrance to the room of the throne open. Mayu, Master, she screamed, running at high speed towards Deku. Maya, have you returned, Master? Mayu stopped when she got close to Deku and saw the woman who was in her arms. Mayu, Master. His voice, which was sensual, started to sound more irritated. Mayu, who is she, Master? Your wife? She asked a little sadly. Deku, ha, no, she's just a friend. She was asking me to participate in something called Ragnarok. Rejection, Ragnarok? Deku explained to him everything Brunhilde had said about Ragnarok. Alcatraz, I see, so the gods want to exterminate the human race. Deku, yes, but Valkyrie has intervened, proposing a fight between gods and humans. Nala, is she an idiot? Deku, I don't think so, Nala, as I know the history of all the participants who will participate in Ragnarok. And they are very strong. Nala got it. Deku, good, and I'm the last participant. All the kings were stunned. Would their god get his hands dirty with simple existences like the gods? Nintu, let us fight, master. We cannot allow you to soil your hands with the blood of gods, she said, and everyone agreed. Deku, don't worry, I will never die. My body regenerates and I'm still intangible. Did they forget that I don't have a physical form? Just a body made of pure hell flames? All the kings remembered this detail and shook their heads as they bowed. Deku, well, I'm going again. I just came to show her the gates. In that he looked at the 14 weapons that were on the throne. Deku, gluttony, temperance, come here. So the 2 weapons appeared in his hands. Deku, let's kill some gods, he said, keeping gluttony and temperance in his inventory. So he took Brunhilde like a princess and teleported to the gates. Deku came out from inside the black gates. Brunhilde started to open her eyes slowly. Brunhilde, the 14 primal weapons. Deku, oh, finally, huh, my dear, he said with his iconic smile. Brunhilde, stop, she yelled, red. Deku, ha ha ha, that was my love. Brunhilde, see, let's go to the arena soon. Deku, okay. He put on his mask. Brunhilde, why do you wear a mask? Deku looked into her eyes and said, Deku, to seal some of my power. I have this mask, a cloth over my eyes, 2 gloves that cover my arms, 2 chains on my legs, and the tattoos, he said, removing his shirt, revealing the tattoos. Brunhilde turned her face away so as not to see Deku's defined body. Deku, that's right, I haven't asked your name yet. What is your name? Brunhilde, have you put your shirt on? Deku sighed and put on his shirt. Deku, yes, my love. Brunhilde looked at him again and said, Brunhilde, my name is Brunhilde, and yours? Deku, well, people call me Izuku, but I prefer to be called Deku, but you could call me my love, my dear, he said, winking at Brunhilde. Brunhilde is constantly embarrassed. It was a new feeling he hadn't felt in a long time. Brunhilde, okay, Deku. Deku smiled and nodded. Deku, well, let's kill some deities. Brunhilde, now I understand why he was so calm when I talked about the deities, she thought, putting on a smile. So Brunhilde took him to where Ragnarok would take place. He stayed by Brunhilde's side, just facing the fight. There were too many humans in the arena, just as there were many gods, from the most different pantheons. Ragnarok. Lu Bu was the first human to enter the arena and fight. Thor was the first god to enter the arena. It was quite a fight, but Thor still won this battle. Did you see this? You silly humans. Did they really think their champion had a chance? This is the power of the gods. Kneel down. Pray. Offer your pathetic lives in tribute. The battle generated great concern in all humans, as their strongest competitor of humanity was defeated. Brunhilde was also a little nervous about it, but soon she remembered Deku. She was with Geir, the youngest of the 13 Valkyries. Brunhilde, looks like he's about to fight, said she would. Geir looked at her with a raised eyebrow. Geir, not even Lu Bu was able to go against the gods who could. Brunhilde, let's go, Deku. She pressed a button. Brunhilde, a human who became a god. Geir's eyes widened at what she heard. At that she looked at the file number Brunhilde had chosen. Geir, what file number 0? In the sand. Well, despite the critical state of the arena at the end of the first fight, thank the gods, everything is beautiful and clean, right, audience who is ready for round 2? The human door begins to open. Introducing the second human fighter, It didn't end when the human was already in the arena. Deku, stop the bullshit and carry on, just mention my name, he said with his calm expression. The gods were silent for a moment as they saw such disrespect. The second fighter of mankind, Izuku. With humans. They didn't know who that human was, but for Brunhilde to have put him to fight weak he wasn't. Following the strongest Nordic god in the first battle, we have the strongest Indian god making his grand entry. There he received a communication. Gear, what's the problem? What? Are we changing the order? So who comes? Wait, who? There is? Seriously? In that everything went dark. Gear, huh? Why did everything go dark? Then he heard the sound of a violin. With humans. What is this sound? A violin, huh? But who's playing? Wolfgang, this music master Bach. Johann, yes, it's my aria on the sun string. And yet, in all my years, I've never heard such a beautiful performance before. This is truly a heavenly arrangement. He shouted, crying. In the arena, Hermes entered playing the violin. Gear, is that Hermes Sama? Is the next opponent Hermes Sama? But his name wasn't on the list, right? Brunhilde, who will fight is. The announcer spoke again. Sorry everyone. We are having technical difficulties. Allow me to introduce our second fighter of the gods. The one who will face the human is this god. Don't wait, it's really the muscle lord standing there. Treat me kindly. With the gods. What the buck? Zeus Sama goes to the second round? With humans. Who is he? He's a god, isn't he? In the sand. Father of the gods, no DPDC god, father of cosmos. Zeus started doing some weird poses, while the announcer made the announcement. Deku looked at Brunhilde, and then looked at Zeus with a bored expression. Zeus. The gods went mad, while the humans were afraid. Minutes before, in the entrance tunnel, Shiva was walking excited about the past fight. He didn't expect that a simple human could hurt and make Thor fight seriously, and that makes him very excited. Shiva, I calm down a bit. Shiva, if I go there like that, he'll be a pile of ash in an instant. He snapped his fingers very excitedly. Then he felt someone touch his shoulder. It was Zeus, who had sensed the human's insane aura and wanted to fight now. Zeus, now it's my turn. Shiva, angry old man, what are you trying to say? I'm next, right? Zeus, now it's my turn. Shiva, didn't we decide that you would be the last? Are you asking me to let you go first? Not bucking, I haven't been this excited in thousands of years. Angry, get your hands off me. Zeus, now it's my turn. Shiva, screaming, your ears are stuffed up, old shit? I said no. Zeus squeezed Shiva's shoulder and brought him to his knees. Zeus, now it's my turn. Return to the audience if you then want to die. Shiva got annoyed with the threat and told Zeus to go up, but when he saw that Zeus was really serious, he gave in to the fight. But on condition that Zeus fight him after the fight with the human. In the sand. Zeus, hey, you better give up, a human would never defeat me. Deku, look at my shoulder, oh, up and down, up and down. He made provocative movements, moving his shoulder up and down. Zeus was irritated by this, by the audacity of the human. Zeus, child, this is going to be over before it even starts, you know. Deku looked at Brunhilde and smiled. Deku, hey Bru-chan, do you have a chair? The old man wants to sit down. He shouted, looking at Brunhilde. Humans put their hands over their mouths to stop them from laughing. Brunhilde almost laughed too, unlike Gear, who was laughing a lot. Deku, lend me a chair, please. The old man here is old, he will die if he stays on his feet for too long. Just throw a chair. He was teasing Zeus. But nobody threw a chair. Deku, oh, I didn't like it. Zeus, irritated, where's your weapon? Deku, my weapon? Did I have to bring a gun? He yelled, grabbing her hair. Deku, and by the way, where's your old lady? He asked with a bored expression. With the gods. Hey, that human is informally talking to Zeus Sama. I must be hearing things. Zeus, oh, is he talking to me? Deku, no, I'm talking to the hitch who gave birth to you. Zeus became even more furious, not only them but the others who were also born and are children over he. Zeus, I really want to hear the sound of your bones when I turn them to sand, you know. So I go with clean hands. Deku got it. Zeus, well, enough talking for now. To begin. He was in front of Deku hitting a punch. Deku didn't even bother to dodge and received the blow directly. Zeus, I told you it would be over before I even. Deku, damn old man, you broke my mask. The mask started to turn to dust and fade. Revealing like this your face? The divine audience was silent, not a peep was heard. The human who was fighting Zeus was beautiful, too beautiful for a human. They didn't even know if he was a human, as he possessed a beauty superior even to the gods of beauty. This human was now viewed with great lust from Aphrodite and a few more goddesses. Ares was talking to Hermes about the human who withstood Zeus' attack. In the fight, Deku let Zeus land all the blows directly, without defending himself. Zeus, meteor jab. But Deku again received the attack without defending himself. The announcer went crazy commenting on Zeus' attacks. When the dust settled, the Deku was standing still, fully intact. Zeus, divine axe. Ares, UNF, say goodbye to your lower limbs. Deku again received the direct attack without defending. When the attack hit him, he only tickled. Zeus, Kikiki, feels like my victory. When the dust settled, everyone could see Deku intact even after he received a direct hit from all of Zeus' attacks. Zeus took his leg away from Deku and walked away. Zeus, what impossible, who are you? He shouted, perplexed by the situation. It was not possible for a human to resist all these attacks in a row. Deku, who am I? Who am I? I am a human, a mere human. He looked at Brunhilde and asked. Deku, hey Bru-chan, can I release one of my seals? Zeus was stunned by what he heard, not only he but the other Olympian gods as well. Deku, I'm a human, but unlike other humans, I wasn't born on pear milk. I was tortured from my birth, and then my being's years, I entered the black infernal gates. The eyes of the divine audience widened. Zeus, impossible. He shouted, not believing what he just heard. The other gods weren't believing either. How the hell was a human going to survive the black gates? Deku, Bru-chan told me that this fight would be fun, but I see it's very disappointing. I wish Shiva was here. Why the hell did you come in his place? He said with a bored face, yawning. Zeus started at Deku again, but it only took one look from Deku for Zeus to retreat. Deku appeared in front of God's head and kicked him, giving Zeus no chance to defend himself. Zeus crashed into the arena wall. As Deku walked towards him calmly. With humans. That. Buck. Here. The humans screamed with excitement when they saw that with just one blow Deku sent Zeus to the wall. Gear, amazing, I was worried since he didn't even take a gun. But to think that a human could defend against Zeus' direct blows. The other gods, especially Hera, were stagnant in their thoughts. Zeus came out of the wall spitting blood. That simple kick had fractured a rib. Zeus, you who gave you a divine blessing? He screamed, spitting blood. It was the only explanation given that was coherent enough. The other gods also began to think about this possibility too. But what they heard next made them apprehensive. Deku, no, I haven't received any blessing from God, it's my own strength. The information was shocking to the gods, particularly to Zeus, who was technically being humiliated. Zeus, what's your relationship with that damn Valkyrie? He said, showing great hostility when referring to Brunhilde. Deku looked at Brunhilde and, smiling, he winked at her. Deku, what is my relationship with her? We can say that I'm her boyfriend. He said with his classic smile. The women, what? All the women present did not believe what they heard. Even the goddesses screamed in surprise at the fact that Brunhilde was dating. Soon she who was quite rude. Deku, I see you're just talk womanizer god. He said, teasing Zeus again. Hera immediately understands what Deku would do. Deku, you have such a beautiful wife. He said, praising Hera's beauty. Author, this is what Hera looks like. Deku, but it's a pity that you betray her with anyone, even a human, Even your daughters you already tried to catch, right? You can't stand her by any chance? Zeus got angry at being insulted like that. Zeus, how dare you talk about me like that? And my wife's. Deku, you mean our wife? She was with me in bed. Moaning a lot. Everyone looked at Hera, who felt nervous with the unwanted looks. Deku, she has a really fat ass that I could touch wherever I wanted, in addition to those big breasts. Oh, how delicious. He said, making Hera embarrassed and Zeus angry as buck. Deku, I caught her in bed to the point where she broke, ha 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 ha. He said, taking a stewed veins from Zeus. Deku looked at Hera and gave a more sensual smile than he had. Deku, perverted and hoarse voice, if you want I'll do it again, my dear, said he, exciting almost all women except Eva, Parvati, Kali and Durga. Zeus, extremely furious, began to rotate the arena at great speed and then Author, ignore it Adeo. He kicked Deku, which he only defended with his finger. However, this kick had destroyed some of the arena. Deku, you see a woman only as a means to satisfy your desires, pathetic. He lifted his finger and flicked it, sending Zeus away, making him slam into the wall again. Deku, you disgust me. You and many here see women as their property. Women are their own bucking property. They do have my total respect. Woman is buck. You only care about the outer beauty and you don't care about the inner beauty. He pointed his finger at Aphrodite. Deku, she over there for example, she's quite pretty, isn't she? Everyone agreed. Deku, that's it, I don't need to talk anymore. You just want her because of her beauty, right? This isn't love, you just want to be a badass. Look for yourself, Zeus, there's a beautiful woman like the what's her name again? He said, taking all seriousness out of his speech. Deku, oh, I remembered a beautiful woman like Hera, or Aphrodite, or Artemis, or many others. I'm not in the mood to name her. But for what? You are Hera's husband, but you don't value her the way she values you. You treat her only as an object for Hex, and when you don't want her anymore, you hunt others. Let me refresh her memory, my friend. If you don't value it, there are those who value it, ha ha ha. He said, licking his lips sensually. Deku, I myself have the right to hate women, since it was thanks to them that I have several marks in my past that I don't forget even after so many years. He gave his most adorable smile, making many women blush. Deku, but I love them anyway, for those who live in the past are a museum. He fiddled with his ear and looked at Zeus. Deku, a person like her deserves someone better, not someone like you, right? There are many men, gods or humans, who are incredibly handsome. However, she chose you and you don't even care about her well-being. I have unlimited stamina, I don't think I need to say anything else, right? He said with an amused smile. Zeus' murderous intent began to come out. Zeus, I'm so angry, so angry I'm about to explode. He shouted in imminent rage. The attack he took from his father, Kronos, and named him at his full will. Time stopped because of Zeus' punch that surpasses time. Deku just patiently watched the attack come his way. Zeus landed his punch on Deku, which destroyed most of the arena. However, it didn't even hurt Deku. Deku took Zeus' fist out of his face. Zeus was wide-eyed like a plate. The human was simply walking and stopped time as if it were something normal. Deku, it was a good punch, old man. Lightning authority, activate. Lightning crashed wildly around Deku, even with time stopped. The lightning wrapped around his body and merged into Deku's fist. His lightning-encircled fist hit Zeus in the face, and he began to be electrocuted. The extremely strong beams on his head were extremely painful, and little by little, his head felt like it was about to explode, as smoke was coming out. Thereupon Zeus fell to the ground. And time returned to normal. Ares, huh? There is? But what the hell happened? Zeus, the father god of the cosmos, has been thrown to earth. With Ares. Ares, Buck, what is the meaning of this? I was fixed on them, and I didn't see anything. Hermes, it seems that this human's powers far exceed our expectations. Well then, when Zeus-sama made his move, the human let him hit, and while time was standing still, the human knocked him out. Ares, Why the buck only you see? He shouted, grabbing Hermes by the collar of the butler's uniform. Hermes, you better watch out, brother. He took his hands away from Ares, who flinched at the look he received. In the arena, Deku looked at Zeus with a cold expression. Deku, I expected more, Zeus. Let's get this over with. He raised his hand to the sky, from where the noise of lightning and thunder was heard. What appeared to be a dragon made of pure lightning appeared in the clouds, scaring everyone there. But when he was going to lower his hand to make the lightning dragon fall, the announcer spoke before, preventing the death of Zeus. The mighty Zeus falls, he falls, I can't believe it, but it's not a dream. Guys, better wake up and smell the roses. Why is he out for the score? What we are witnessing is the birth of a new miracle in our entire history. He shouted, intervening before Deku killed Zeus. With Brunilda. She smiled confidently as she saw the overwhelming victory that humans are having. Deku was totally humiliating Zeus, that is, he was totally humiliating the Greek pantheon. Gear, he's strong, very strong, too strong. She looked up, seeing the dragon made of pure lightning that came out of the cloud out of nowhere. Gear, who the hell is he? Is that something a human could do? In the arena, Deku, as far as I can remember. Well, let's get back to programming. Ragnarok's second round goes to Ugg. Zeus got up and stopped the announcer from continuing his speech, placing his hand on his head. Zeus, I'm not done yet. He turned his head. Gear, he spun back. Oh. As expected of Zeus-sama. Ares, our old man is back. I knew he would not be defeated. Hermes, although it seems that he is suffering right now. Deku, oh, you woke up. I thought you were going to sleep. Zeus, now you have my interest. This old man here has something he'd like to ask. Deku, and what would that be? Zeus, how old are you? Everyone fell behind with this question as they didn't expect a question like this. Deku, my age? How old will I be? Zeus, be direct, don't ask questions on top of my question. Deku laughed out loud. Deku, it's true, I'm quite old and I don't even think I have the right to call you old. All humans became curious as many questions and doubts popped into their minds. The gods were the same. Deku, more than 500 million. The eyes of all the gods widened as their mouths opened wide, amazed at what they had just heard. Zeus, more than 500 million? Deku, yes, I'm over 500 million years old. I'm a very old human, aren't I? Everything was silent. No human would survive that long. Even Brunhilde was amazed. But that would be quite plausible if the human were a god. Deku, I'm not a deity literally, but I'm immortal. I can't die. It's my curse. Because, unlike other humans who are born, grow, reproduce, and die, my cycle is infinite. I will continue to exist no matter what or how. Furthermore, he ripped your head out of nowhere. Humans were horrified by this. But soon that horror turned to surprise to see Deku's head regenerate along with the white flames. Author, think white flames are rebuilding his head. What left both humans and gods in disbelief? Such a high healing rate was seen even in little gods. Deku, see? I cannot die, this is my curse. Erase me completely from existence, turn my body to dust, disintegrate all my material composition, I will still return. My body is made from infernal flames, being devoid of a physical body, having only a spiritual body. Therefore, no one could physically harm me, and if they touched me, they would be completely extinguished because of the infernal flames. Zeus, until now, I just didn't kill you because I didn't want to, as your body and soul would have been incinerated as soon as you touched me. Zeus, that would make you a deity. Deku, well, not literally, right? But if you take it into account, yes, I am a divinity. He said, surprising everyone. Deku, but I prefer you to call me a half-breed. Zeus looked at him with a raised eyebrow. Zeus, half-breed? Deku, yes, I'm a mixture of different races. Human, god, spirit, and dragon. Those are the races. Hey Zeus, I have a question too. Zeus, ask what it is. You will be happy with me answering you. He said, taking a stewed vein from Deku. Deku, do you know such a snake? Eve, Zeus, and Adam quickly understood his question. The serpent Deku was referring to was the one who made Adam and Eve come out of Eden. Zeus, I do. Deku, bring her here, I want his life. The snake that heard this quickly ran away to avoid getting caught. Zeus, and if you don't want to. He stopped when Deku's aura went out. Deku's aura was causing everything to be thrown around. The whole sky began to shake violently, feeling Deku's aura. Deku, out my dragons. Author, ignore Antares. The gigantic ancient and ancient dragons landed around the arena. What made the deities widen their eyes when they saw all these ancient and ancient dragons? Deku, come on, time is running out. If you don't bring him here, all the gods have become food for my dragons. He opened his arms and the dragons roared. The roars were too loud, resulting in some fainting. Deku, they're hungry. Deku smiled, putting his hand over his eyes. Deku, my weapon is also feeling hungry, isn't it, gluttony? Zeus recoiled instinctively at the sight of the weapon in Deku's hand. Gluttony, the devouring wife, one of the weapons representing sins. Deku, I see you know the weapon I have in my hand. Smile, one of the 7 sinners, gluttony, the sin of hunger. Zeus began to sweat a lot, his body trembled as he felt the aura that gluttony released. Zeus, impossible. Cain, go grandpa. Abel, finish their breed grandpa. Deku felt as if an arrow pierced his pride. Deku, don't call me grandma, please. If you keep calling me grandpa, you'll make me feel older than I already look. Take it easy, kids. He looked at Zeus. Deku, time is running out, my friend, and my dragons are getting hungry. The other gods started looking for the serpent everywhere. Zeus didn't care and continued to attack Deku, who let out a sigh. But soon Zeus had to dodge when a gigantic echelon of black flames charged towards him. Deku, thank you? Deku appeared in front of Zeus and kicked him with a little more force. Ragnarok 2. Deku, time is running out, my friend, and my dragons are getting hungry. The other gods started looking for the serpent everywhere. Zeus didn't care and continued to attack Deku, who let out a sigh. But soon Zeus had to dodge when a gigantic echelon of black flames charged towards him. Deku, thank you? Deku appeared in front of Zeus and kicked him with a little more force. Zeus flew away because of the kick. At that, Deku looked at Adeo and smiled, taking another sword. Deku threw the sword to Adeo, who parried. Deku, it's one of the 7 virtues, keep it and make a big ass, young man. Kill the god you are going to face with her, have no mercy. Adeo, thank you? Deku, well, I'm the elder human technically, so I have to give a gift to a friend. He looked at Eve. Deku, help him on the path he will take, and don't let him use the sword irresponsibly. He got away from Eve. Deku looked at Cain and Abel. Deku, you can call me grandpa, I'm really old, although that perishes with my pride. All the humans were happy, including Eve and Adeo. All go grandma. Deku felt his body breaking apart seeing so many people calling him grandpa. Deku, well, it's a grandfather's duty to protect his grandchildren. So let's get this over with. My dragons, get ready, we'll start the killing in 5 minutes. The ancient and elder dragons shot their breath into the sky, making it look like a rainbow. Deku, this is beautiful, isn't it? You only have 5 minutes, my friend. The gods who went looking for the serpent were even more desperate, since they couldn't find the damn serpent. Deku, let's finish our fight. He shouted, closing his hand to nullify the lightning dragon. Zeus' aura grew stronger, while lightning and thunder crashed into the arena. With Brunhilde. Gear, what's going on? Brunhilde, he will use his divine weapon. Gear, W what? In the sand. Lightning and thunder circled around Zeus as they slowly pressed together to form Zeus' divine weapon. The Master Ray. Zeus, I don't like to wear this, but... Zeus' muscles started to twitch, and he got a little taller, and a lot thinner. The final form of Zeus, Adamus. Deku formed his biggest smile as he felt his heart beat excitedly. Everyone was surprised, especially the gods, to see Zeus use his divine weapon in addition to his strongest transformation. Ares, what insane pressure is this? What is this? Hermes, Zeus-sama's final form can exist for 12-13 minutes, but with all the damage accumulated, I say the limit is 5-6 minutes, but seeing as he will use his divine weapon, his final form will last maximum 3 minutes. He thought, seeing Zeus' body release a lot of blood. Shiva, bucking old man, see if you don't destroy the sky now, okay? In the fight. Deku looked at Zeus' transformation with his biggest smile. Author, ignore Adale. Zeus advanced towards Deku, who didn't even move again, receiving the full blow. Zeus' strongest blow, the true god's punch. The punch that can destroy the whole sky. The blow destroyed the entire floor, causing a large crater. Some gods, such as Shiva, Poseidon, Hermes, Ares, Aphrodite, Susanoo, Odin, Loki, Anubis, and the demon Beelzebub, believed that it would be the end of the human. While the humans and Brunhilde with gear were worried too, as this was Zeus' strongest blow. Besides, Zeus was using his divine weapon. Zeus hit his master lightning on Deku, while divine lightning began to rain wildly on Deku, generating even more destruction. But from the dust, laughter was heard. Deku, ha 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 ha, how fun this one was, a fun punch, he said, moving his hand so that all the dust dispersed. Zeus' punch was in his face, and he didn't even care. Deku, ha ha ha, yes, finally someone who could hit me with such a feat. In honor, I said, my friend, I won't keep any god, but I still want the serpent, he said, taking the punch of Zeus from his face. The gods were relieved by what they heard. Deku looked at Abel and Cain. Deku, take it. He threw Gluttony to the two boys. Cain and Abel took Gluttony, almost touching its blade. Deku, keep it for now, and don't hide your finger in the blade if you don't want to be devoured, he said, warning the two boys. He looked at Brunhilde. Deku, Bru-chan, at first I was suspicious of you, since you said the fight would be fun, and when I entered they sent me this old man, but I thank you for giving me this chance to fight for my grandchildren. Just as Adam will protect his children, I have to protect my grandchildren. The humans started to cry. The gods were still amazed, totally in disbelief that the human had withstood Zeus' punch, a punch that could destroy the whole sky, besides that he had withstood thousands of divine rays and not even hurt himself or left with a scratch, even his clothes. His was intact. Deku, hey Bru-chan, can I release my seal? Brunhilde smiled and said. Brunhilde, make yourself comfortable, she said, causing the happiest smile to form on Deku's face. Deku, that's right, my dear. The gods were shocked. The human, no, was the human god limited in power this whole time? Deku, just like Raiden and Thor, I also need containment seals, and one of them is my mask that you destroyed. However, it doesn't contain much, as it's only in my face to prevent people from seeing my face horrendous. I also had a band over my eyes, but I kept it. He started to take off his shirt. The goddesses except Parvati, Kali, and Durga had a nosebleed when they saw Deku's defined body. His looks were already amazing, so they didn't understand why he called himself hideous. But now, next to his defined body and with the various tattoos scattered around, he got even hotter. No, they didn't even know how to put it in words. So it happened with human women except Eve. Goddesses like Aphrodite, who represent love, beauty, lust, etc., contemplated that magnificent body. Deku, all these marks on my body seal my power, and to be honest, I haven't even been taking our fight seriously, he said, leaving Zeus in disbelief. Deku, it's uncomfortable, as it didn't even force me to use one of my transformations. However, all the same, I appreciate it, as it was fun even in my base form. Beneath him, the infernal flames began to rise, incinerating everything. Deku, Zeus, you were the only opponent I used the true infernal flame on. You were my best, too bad he'll end up dead, but you can relax, I'll take good care of your wife, ha 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 ha, said he, still teasing Zeus. Zeus, frustrated, continued to viciously attack Deku, heedless of the infernal flames. The blows generated powerful shock waves. Deku defended himself from everyone easily. Deku, I already told you, your blows are useless, said he, dodging Zeus' attacks. Deku stopped Zeus by putting his hand on his head. Deku, you didn't value, my friend, it's part of our nature, both divine and human, to value something or someone after we lost it. It's really unfortunate. He released Zeus. Deku, ha ha ha, it's all a joke, my friend, I just wanted to tease you, she's his wife and I already have Bruchan, he said with a beautiful smile. Deku, well, this fight is over from the moment you set foot here. Shiva's luck, isn't it? Shiva let out a half-hearted laugh while sweating heavily. Deku, well, your wife will be a widow, since this fight is to the death. The infernal flames surrounded his arm. Deku, goodbye, my friend. He placed his hand, which was covered in infernal flames, on Zeus' face. Zeus' body was erased, while only his screams could be heard because of the pain of his soul being burned too. Thus Zeus, the father god of the cosmos, was killed and the victory fell to humanity in the second round. This is unbelievable. The second round was a victory for humanity, and the death of the mighty Zeus. The humans screamed with the landslide victory they had in the second round. Ares, Hermes, Phoebus, Dionysus, Hercules and Hephaestus were quite saddened by the death of their father. Poseidon and many other gods who were close to Zeus were extremely angry at his death and almost went to the arena to kill the human. But someone went before. Ares, the god of war. Ares, how dare you kill my father? He shouted in position to fight. The others looked at him with pity. Ares, I'll kill you, you son of a hitch. Deku, oh? Are you really going to insult me? You are not in such a good position. Ares looked at all the elder and ancient dragons. Ares, buck these dragons, I will kill you, your son of Buck. He advanced towards Deku, activating his abilities and using his divine weapon. Deku started laughing and lowered his finger. And using the laws of physics manipulation, he used the gravitational force to cause Ares to be crushed to the ground. Deku, ha ha ha, what fun, so how about I kill the entire Greek pantheon? So you will go with Zeus. Deku smiled as he saw the terrified expression of all except Poseidon, the gods that are part of the Greek pantheon. Deku, my dragons are hungry. Hey boy, let me ask you a question. He approached Ares, who was trying his best to escape. Deku, do you know why no god who visited the Black Infernal Gates ever returned? Not even with all that army? Author, ignore what is written. One of the dragons descended into the arena and lowered his head. The Deku climbed up and sat on the dragon's head. Deku, do you know why? His teeth have become sharp. His nails started to grow. Deku, because they became a feast, their flesh and blood, although they tasted horrible, their souls were magnificent. He ran his tongue between his teeth. Deku, let's go, stand up. He shouted, appearing in front of Ares. Deku, didn't you say you were going to kill me? Where? Where is my death? Kill me, where is your determination? Ares glared at Deku, but there was nothing he could do. Ares, damn monster. Deku's smile faded when he heard Ares called him. Deku, I see, so you're like the other brats? You are nothing more than a pile of dung. Ares got even more furious. Deku, you're nothing more than dog food. Ares was wide-eyed at what he was seeing. He was a hellhound, but he wasn't like Cerberus. He looked much more powerful than the Hound of Hades. Deku, it's lost its fun, it's not even worth killing you anymore. The dogs disappeared. Deku, you're just a coward, you're not even worth feeding my dogs. He looked coldly at Ares. Deku, well, with that I'm done with the fight. He crashed his neck. Gluttony that was with Abel appeared in his hands. Deku, thanks for staying with her. Deku, my dear, take the other 12 and distribute to each contestant who wants to use it. Brunilda looked at him with a smile. Brunilda, but there are competitors who use clean hands. Deku, ha ha ha, they can change shape at the will of whoever is using it. It can be armor or a brass knuckle. It will depend on the wearer's imagination. That way your sisters won't have to get hurt, as the 12 are indestructible. Brunhilde, this will help a lot, both me and my sisters. Deku, it's true, however, be careful with weapons, as they have a life of their own and they will choose who will carry them. Oh, and each weapon has a different property. Well, it looks like my time has come to an end. Your body disappeared into particles. Deku, that was a good fight. The gods and humans stared at him, and then looked at the arena over and over again. Brunhilde, always playful, right? Deku, ha ha ha, of course, my dear. Brunhilde received the looks of women except Eva, Parvati, Kali, and Durga, which made her nervous, plus she was blushing, which implied it was true. Deku, well, unfortunately, she's not my girlfriend, but if she wants to. Her voice became husky and sensual, which made Brunhilde even more blushing. Well, the women except Eva, Parvati, Kali, and Durga were overjoyed at the big news, as all he said was teasing. Deku, yawns, you haven't brought me the snake yet, since you won't cooperate. He stretched out his hand to the side and slowly closed it. Until the serpent's head was in your hand. Serpent, KSSSS. Deku, well, you're up against someone who manipulates space at will. It was more than obvious that you were going to lose. He started to put some force. The snake started to scream a lot. Deku, don't think you'll die so quickly. He stepped on the ground and in the sky, to everyone's surprise, the black infernal gates appeared. Deku, goodbye. The black infernal gates opened where an aura came out, causing everyone to shiver. Deku threw the serpent at the black gates. The serpent desperately screamed for mercy. Deku, you have no right to mercy. After trying to grape one of mine, your life was already in my hands. He appeared in front of Eva and gave her a hug. Deku, that's all right, my daughter. He started stroking Eva's hair. Eva started to cry and hugged him. Deku, well, temperance will erase all evil, my daughter. Don't cry over spilled milk. He smiled and kissed Eva's forehead. Deku, ha ha ha, who would have thought that the being that was considered the monarch of destruction, the being that represented the golden concept of destruction, could feel feelings. He ran his hand over his face. Deku, you remind me of my adopted daughters. See you later. A burning aura enveloped his body and he disappeared. Test. With Deku. He finally descended to the human world after fighting in Ragnarok. And as a bonus, he stole money from the humans in the audience. Deku, it was so worth it, said he, keeping the money he had stolen. In the human world, there was chaos. The most dangerous red gate had been closed, and no one knew who had closed it. Some staff who were there reported that it was a person in a kitsune mask with long green hair with black in parts. All they knew was that and the fact that he finished the dungeon in less than 5 minutes without anyone helping him. After the dungeon was completed, it was no longer possible to see it. The whole world was tense, as they didn't know if this being was friend or foe, and expected him to be friend. With Deku. He was walking down the street quietly. Deku looked around, seeing how different everything was. The world has changed over time. Deku, oh, do men now have a quirk too? Considering how men are being treated, I think so. He thought, seeing how men hung out with women, ate at expensive restaurants, etc. Deku continued walking and turned into an alley. But when he turned around, he was stopped by a man and 2 women. Hey, you brat, how dare you touch me? Said the tall, muscular man. Spend all your money here, and who knows, you might get out of here, said the woman who was hugging the man. Deku yawned and kept walking, not caring what the man and woman said. The man got angry and went to Deku. How dare you ignore me? I'm an A-rank villain, damn it, he said, throwing himself to punch Deku. Deku turned around and stopped the man's punch with his finger, leaving both the man and the 2 women stunned. Which impossible? Deku, impossible is just a word, nothing is impossible. From his finger, the infernal red flame came out. Deku, die. He touched his finger to the man who started to scream. The man screamed for help from the women, and the women started screaming, crying at the sight of the man's death. The women tried to run, but Deku moved his hand, making a wall of fire that stopped them both from running. Deku, hey, where do you think you're going? He said with a smile that startled both women. Please forgive us, he forced us to do this, she said with her head on the floor, asking for mercy. Deku, tell me everything you know. He sat on the floor next to the woman. So the woman told Deku everything. The fact that men developed an individuality in 2028, 7 years ago, and in that time, men have been getting more space, leaving everything as equals. That professional heroes created a school called U.A to educate rookie heroes on how to fight in dungeons, practice individuality, etc. Lady Might was still the symbol of peace, but right behind her was a man named Endeavor. That one day managed to pass Lady Might and take first, but lost that position again to Lady Might. Deku, well, thanks for the information. He started to get up. The women sighed in relief, thinking he would spare them. In this, the woman who told the information felt a hand on her head. Deku, did you think I would spare you? But you. Deku, I never said I would spare them, remember? Besides, you were having fun extorting the weakest. Your existences are useless. The infernal flames came out and burned the woman. The others started screaming and crying. And Monster Arch. Deku kicked her in the stomach. Deku, I'm not a monster, I'm the devil himself, he said with a joyful smile, burning the woman. He waved his hand and deactivated the wall of fire. Deku, useless people like you were supposed to not even exist. Then his stomach started to growl. Deku, I'm starving, I'm going to buy some food for myself. So he walked to the nearest supermarket and bought some food with the money he stole. Deku, I think I'll write to U.A just to eat for free, he thought, heading towards UA. He had been given the location of the U.A by the women he had just killed. In the U.A, there was a huge line of teenagers with an age group of 15-16 years old, all signing up to enter and take the test. Deku created an identity out of matter and joined the queue. Even though he didn't really like his last name, Midoriya, he had to put it in, as it would raise suspicions if someone showed up without an identity. After a while, he managed to register to take the test. Inside the room, he was sitting totally unconcerned with the test. The teacher appeared and explained how the test will be. After giving the explanation, he started handing out the evidence. You can hand in the proof once you're done. Deku looked at the test quickly and saw all the questions, all being extremely easy. Begin. Deku started answering the questions quickly, and in less than 1 minute, he handed in the test and left. The teacher looked doubtful, strongly believing he got all the questions wrong. With Deku, he left U.A yawning. All the questions he answered were very easy. On the way back, Deku stopped by the convenience store again and bought a snack. Deku went to buy a house so he can live, since living on the street wouldn't go down well. After some days, Deku was looking on his cell phone and all of a sudden he got an email. Deku, looks like I passed the exam, he thought, opening the email. Congratulations, Izuku Midoriya, you passed the exam with a maximum score of 100 out of 100. We will be waiting for you to start class next week. Deku, I expected an exam as easy as that. He had all the knowledge contained in the Hellland, knowledge that humans or even deities cannot dream of having. With Izumi, she was very worried, looking forward to receiving the email from U.A saying that she was approved and that she could join the school. In that she saw her mother, Inko, run towards her quite happy. Inko, Izumi, she screamed, getting close to Izumi. Izumi, what is it, Mom? Inko, you passed, my daughter, you passed the exam and you will enter the U.A, daughter. Izumi started to cry, but not from sadness but from happiness. Finally her biggest dream would be completed. It wasn't just her dream, but the dream of all young people her age. Izumi, this, she screamed, hugging Inko. Inko, you passed with 80 out of 100, his studies paid off. Izumi, Yes, when I enter U.A, it will be much easier to find Izuku. Her expression of happiness turned to sadness when remembering Izuku. Inko also changed her expression to sadness as she remembered all the atrocities she did to Izuku, her son. Inko, I'm sorry for being such a bad mother, my daughter, she said, starting to cry. Izumi hugged her tightly. Izumi, it's not just your mother's fault, it's mine too. Izumi started crying too. With Katsumi. She was sitting with her mother on the couch waiting for the email from Yae. Katsumi was confident that it passed as it was seen in her haughty expression. Katsumi, I'll pass, I'm pretty sure. Then she heard the sound of her cell phone ringing. She opened the email and saw the message from Yae. Congratulations, Katsumi Bakugu, you passed the exam with an average of 50 out of 100. We will be waiting for you to start class next week. Mitsuki looked at the note with disdain. She expected a higher note. Mitsuki, well, at least it passed, she said, disappointed with the note, but that, in the same way, she accepted it because her daughter passed. With Fuyumi. She was sitting next to her father Endeavor. The person she hates the most in the world. Fuyumi, I want to see my grades soon so I can get away from this person, she thought, uncomfortable with Endeavor's presence. Endeavor, I hope you pass, he said seriously, crossing his arms. Fuyumi didn't even care what he said. Then she took out her cell phone and checked her emails. Congratulations, Fuyumi Todoroki, did you pass the exam with an average of 90 out of 100? We will be waiting for you to start class next week. Endeavor looked at the note Fuyumi took with indignation as he expected her to take 100. Endeavor could have taken more. Fuyumi, this I passed. She celebrated by jumping for joy, ignoring all of Endeavor's comments. With Deku. He was lying on the couch watching the news on TV. Until he felt the 12 weapons he had lent to Brunhilde come back. Deku, oh, I see the competition is over. He summoned the 12 weapons he lent to Brunhilde. Deku, temperance is with Adam, so you are left. The guns started to fly. Deku, so, how was the fight? Pride, boring, very boring. Humility, be more modest, Pride. You were the only one of us who took a beating. Pride seemed to get angry. Pride, how dare you address me? And it's all the fault of that bearer who is very weak. Humility, same excuses as always. Pride advanced upon furious humility. Pride and humility were going to engage in a battle, but Deku prevented it. Deku, stop, Pride, humility, or I'll have to take very drastic measures. Humility and Pride stopped arguing instantly. Deku, and you? How it was? Wrath, it didn't even make me angry, it didn't even make the fight fun. Calm, that's why you never fight. Wrath turned his blade to calm, and gave an annoyed huff. Ira, don't meddle in what's not called calm. I don't want to hear her voice, she irritates me. Calm, at least I don't have the voice of someone who seems to be dying. Wrath, nana. He caused calm. Wrath, oh that's right, you're the calm. You cannot be angry. Deku let out a laugh at Ira's provocation. Deku, come on, relax, yours should be just like sloth. All never. Deku, ha ha ha, ignore. Laziness, I was sleeping all the time, sir, I was too lazy to move, but I took the opponent's soul. Deku, very well, sloth. All sloth and lust, we too, master. Deku, well done all of you, he said, smiling. Lust, Master Brunhilde said she would come here sometime. Deku, I see, thanks for telling me, Lust. Lust, Fufu, you're welcome, master. Dignity, you should value yourself more, sister. Lust, Fufu, are you worried about me, my dear little sister? Dignity, nothing. So Deku continued to talk to the 12 weapons. Author forgot to put it, but this is what it looks like. Izumi. Fuyumi. Katsumi. Brunhilde. With Deku. He had just spoken to the 12 guns and lying on the couch, stretching. Deku, damn, I gotta get some stuff to eat. said he was getting mad at the couch. He took the money and went to the nearest convenience store and bought some stuff. Deku came home after going shopping with lots of bags on both hands. Entering the kitchen, Deku went to put the groceries. Deku, cracking fingers, I'm going to take a shower. I feel very sticky. About that. Brunhilde was watching Deku leave. And she watched him come back, hidden so as not to be noticed. Which made it quite strange, as it usually happened the other way around. As she descended to the human world, this caused great confusion with the other Valkyries and especially with one person, a demigod who liked her. Hercules, a demigod who, after having killed his wife and daughter because of Hera, had to complete 12 practically impossible jobs, died cremated and was made an immortal infinite life by Zeus. A participant of the gods who was quite fond of humanity, which was kind of hilarious to hear. And he liked Brunhilde. After the time he stayed with her, his feelings were opening up, but he never had the courage to confess, and seeing her with a human she had just met filled him with jealousy. Although Brunhilde is a bit manipulative, she still loved her other Valkyrie sisters and treated everyone very well. Brunhilde has been with Hercules for a long time, because she helped him get over the death of his wife and daughter. Hercules ended up developing feelings for her. That was why Hercules liked Brunhilde, but he had been traded for a simple human. No, not a human. A god-human who killed Zeus easily and who caused tremendous chaos in the heavens, which was thrown into disarray when they lost the representative of the gods, the leader of the council. With Deku. He was taking a shower. Deku, my hair is really long, it would be nice if I had someone to help me. He thought, annoyed by the length of his hair. But it was no use, even if he cut his hair, it would quickly grow back. Deku, finally, what a nice bath. He thought with a satisfied expression. With Brunhilde. She was looking at Deku's produced body. Blood dripping from her nose as some lewd images came to her mind. Brunhilde, what perfection. She saw Deku put on the towel, which made her annoyed. Brunhilde, damn towel. She roared in her thoughts because of the towel that was blocking the view of Deku's lower parts. Brunhilde, seeing the chance, entered the house and took off her clothes, leaving only her lingerie. She went into his room and there she lay on the bed. With Deku. He was getting out of the shower while humming. Deku went to his room. And when he opened the door, Deku widened his eyes when he saw Brunhilde with only her bra and panties on. Deku, Buck, I'm surprised. Brunhilde made a sign with her hand calling Deku. Brunhilde, come on, dear, said she, turning to face up. Deku, since when is Brunhilde so naughty? He thought, not understanding Brunhilde's way, a totally different way than before. He put on his underwear and pants and lay down next to Brunhilde. Brunhilde, damn, you should have just laid down with the towel, she thought, biting her lips. Brunhilde threw herself on top of Deku and kissed him. Deku, how the hell did you get like this? He shouted, shocked by Brunhilde's attitude. Brunhilde, you who made me like this, she said, separating from the kiss. Deku, my god, what did I create? He thought with fear. Brunhilde lifted Deku and sat on his lap. Brunhilde, you're mine now, she said, kissing Deku, wrapping her arms around his neck. Brunhilde broke away from the kiss with a cute and happy expression. Deku's heart melted and he hugged Brunhilde tightly. Deku, how beautiful is my baby, he said, caressing her hair. Brunhilde blushed, and embarrassed, she played with her fingers. Brunhilde, you are also beautiful. And the best, it's only mine and no one else's, she said with a big smile. Deku, if so, we'll have to get married, right? Brunhilde was happy to the point that the whole environment had a strong light. Deku, they're my eyes, he thought as he put his hand over his eyes. Deku, well, since you're going to live with me, feel free, he said, taking Brunhilde off his lap. Brunhilde, hey, who said you could take me away? She yelled, annoyed, pulling Deku. With the tug, Deku kissed her. Deku, when you are my wife, then you will have the greatest authority over me, And when that happens, you will own me and you can ask for anything. Brunhilde smiled confidently. Brunhilde, anyway, you are still mine and I'll tell you to do what I want, she said with a smiling expression and placing her hand on her breasts. Deku, well, tomorrow I have to leave, so the house will be yours, he said, causing Brunhilde's expression of happiness to change to a terrifying one. Brunhilde, cold voice, where are you going? She asked in a questioning and authoritative tone. Deku, I have class tomorrow, he said, startled by Brunhilde's expression. Brunhilde, class? She asked curiously, not sounding like her inquiring, authoritative tone as before. Deku, yes, I was accepted into a school. Brunhilde, why the hell do you go to school when you are over 500 million years old? Deku felt an arrow cross his chest. Deku, I only go there for fun, since everything there is easy. Brunhilde, my thought. Deku thought? He asked with a raised eyebrow. Brunhilde, I thought you were going to meet some girl. If it were. Deku swallowed hard at Brunhilde's threat. Deku, the good thing is, I don't die, but what the hell is up with these women? How can she be so scary? And how can I, the god of the Black Infernal Gates, be afraid of her? I, someone who has unified and has full control over the kingdom? He thought, biting his nail uncontrollably. Deku, but Bru-chan, I really only go there for the food, which is free. Brunhilde, are you serious? She asked with a disappointed expression. Deku, yes, my dear. Eating for free is the best thing. Brunhilde, are you seriously going to leave me alone because of food? She said, pretending to be sad. Deku approached her. When he was close, he only felt her arm being pulled and thrown on the bed. Brunhilde, can I go with you? Deku, I don't think so, since I'm going to a school where other students are going through puberty. He hugged Brunhilde from behind. Deku, so if I took you, they'd start having desires for you, he said, kissing Brunhilde. Brunhilde, Fufu, are you jealous? He don't worry, honey, you're the only one for me. Brunhilde wrapped her arms around his neck. Brunhilde, too bad you go to this school, we could enjoy this bed so much, she said sensually. Deku blushed at the teasing. Normally he was the one teasing, but being teased was also fun in his eyes. Deku, who can you handle it? He said, grabbing Brunhilde's breasts tightly. He started groping her breasts, then biting her neck. Brunhilde let out a slight moan because of what Deku did. He went down with his other hand to the lowest parts of her and, when he was going to pull her panties, Brunhilde intervened. Brunhilde, relax a little, you're shameless, she said, taking her hands off Deku and placing them around her belly. Deku smiled at that and whispered hoarsely in Brunhilde's ears. Deku, when the time comes, you won't even feel the movement of your legs. He bit her ear. Brunhilde blushed to the hilt, she couldn't even say a word. Deku, it's nice to know someone loves you, isn't it? Brunhilde shook her head shyly. Deku, I was born and not even loved, tortured from birth and treated like scum, all because of the women around me. I could hate all women, couldn't I? Brunhilde didn't answer, she just remained silent. Deku, however, I don't feel it, I don't feel anything. Besides, I have you, the only light I have left of hope, my only love. Brunhilde turned crying to him. Deku, come on, rest my queen, he said, lying down on the bed, and Brunhilde lay on top of him. Deku, how many times the world goes around, right? U.A. With Deku. He was waking up from sleep, and seeing that it was time to get up. But there was a problem, which was Brunhilde. Deku, hey honey, can you please get off me? He asked, patting Brunhilde's legs. Brunhilde had her legs around his neck and the other one was in his face. Brunhilde, what is it? She asked, still sleepy. Deku, let me out, I have school to go now, he said with a smile. Brunhilde took her legs from Deku's face and neck, allowing him to get out of bed. Brunhilde, and my kiss? She asked, stretching and trying to get out of bed. She tried to get up, but her body was still in sleep mode, so she fell. But before she fell, Deku picked her up and placed her on the bed, giving her a kiss on the cheek. Deku, rest, my queen? I only woke you up because I wanted to get out of bed. Brunhilde smiled and rubbed her eyes, lying down on the bed again. Deku looked at her and put the sheet on, then he kissed her forehead. Deku, well, I'm going to change, he said, heading towards the wardrobe. Brunhilde opened her eyes a little to see him, but unfortunately he hadn't taken off his pants. Deku put on his shirt and tied his hair, to go to the kitchen to prepare something to eat. Deku prepared for Brunhilde too, so that when she woke up, she wouldn't have the trouble of preparing. Deku took his mask and put it on his face, taking a deep breath. Deku, I've never been to a school before. I hope I won't be disappointed. Good thing the food is free. With Deku. He was walking towards UA, looking around. After a while, he arrived and soon entered the UA. But when he passed through the gate, someone bumped into him. Katsumi, hey, you animal, watch where you're going. Deku, when he looked at her, quickly remembered Katsumi, the one who mistreated him in childhood. Deku, I think you better look, because you were distracted, he said, turning his face, not wanting to see Katsumi's face. Katsumi was annoyed by what Deku said. Katsumi, who do you think you are, you bastard? She screamed, going up to Deku. Deku, stop, you're annoying, he said, holding Katsumi's arm and putting a little strength. Katsumi started screaming in pain as she felt her bones snap, but luckily, her mother Mitsuki saw. Mitsuki, please forgive my daughter. Deku looked at her and threw Katsumi to the ground. Deku, even better would be if you hadn't raised such a spoiled daughter, he said coldly, paralyzing Mitsuki. But the worst thing was that he was right. She spoiled Katsumi too much, and that resulted in what she is today. Deku, you were lucky that your mom showed up, because if she hadn't, you could be sure you would have had your arm broken, he said, scaring Katsumi and Mitsuki. Then Inko and Izumi arrived. Mitsuki, oh Inko honey, how are you? Inko, I'm fine Mitsuki, I just came here to bring Izumi to her first day of school, she said with a smile, pointing to Izumi, who looked very excited. Izumi looked at Mitsuki. Izumi, hello Aunt Mitsuki. Mitsuki, hello my dear, how are you? Izumi, I'm fine, at least I think, she said in a very weak voice. Mitsuki, you're still sad, right? She asked, already knowing why Izumi was always sad, because her daughter also participated in the constant torture against Izuku. Tears started to flow down Izumi's face. Izumi, I just wanted my brother back, she said, rubbing her eyes to wipe away the tears. Katsumi just looked annoyed. She was humiliated by a man, and now she had to hear Izumi's cry. Inko, but what was going on here, Mitsuki? I saw that there was a boy with a mask just now. Mitsuki, embarrassed, my daughter bumped into the boy and she tried to attack him, but he almost broke her arm. If I hadn't intervened. Inko looked at Katsumi and saw marks on her arm. Inko, I see, what was the boy like? Mitsuki, he's... She turned around, but she couldn't see the boy anymore. Mitsuki, where is he? Inko, looks like he's already entered the academy. Mitsuki, well, I can only say that he had long green hair with black and wore a kitsune mask. Inko, got it, so be careful Izumi. Izumi, okay mom, don't worry. Katsumi, that's right, if I find him he'll regret it. Mitsuki sighed when he saw his daughter's attitude. With Deku. He was heading to where another test would take place, this time to test his individuality. Deku, I have several authorities, what now? Do I use them all or not? Ah, be damned, they are my authorities. He started walking towards a room. When he arrived in the room, he saw Izumi and Katsumi standing there listening to the explanation. Well, just Izumi, since Katsumi wasn't even paying attention. After explaining everything, a man appears and starts talking. To everyone who arrived here, congratulations, are you ready to know about the practice test? Say Yawea. But nobody said anything. I've realized that you are more calm. Well, the test will work as follows. You will take the test in the urban area, with robots that will be classified from level 1 to 3, and a level 1 robot, from 1 point, level 2, 2 point, level 3, 3 points. Any questions? Someone raised their hand. Say my young. Excuse me, sir, but do I have a question? Can I question? Yes, my dear. In the presentation poster it said that there would be 4 robots, but you just said that there will be only 3. If this is a mistake, it is unacceptable. It would be unbelievable to believe that a gym like U.A was so careless and you there. He pointed at Deku. You're wearing a mask. It's getting in the way of communicating between people. It's impossible that you can wear a mask like you are at the gym. Deku, and who are you to question me? It became my father, did it? He said without looking at Lita. Lita, I'm not your father, but it's unacceptable that you wear a mask here. Deku, and who are you to dictate the rules? Do you happen to own the U.A? For even if it were, you don't have any authority to boss me around. He said, appearing in front of Lita. Deku, besides, you're the one disturbing people. I didn't hear anyone coming to question me for wearing the mask, but you came, thinking you had some authority in this shit. You are nobody for eyes. Besides, you're too dumb. Didn't you participate in the explanation before, didn't you? If you haven't heard, I will explain. The 4th robot is one that is not worth a point and therefore should be ignored. The others started to make fun of Lita. Deku, and if you want me to take my mask off so badly, I will. Although my appearance is not very pleasant. He removed the mask and placed it on his waist. Everyone who was whispering about Deku's appearance stopped talking. No, everyone was silent without saying anything. Even the man who was speaking was silent. Deku was the most beautiful person they had ever seen in their entire lives. Katsumi looked annoyed at the man, while Izumi saw that that man reminded her a lot of Izuku, her brother who was presumed dead. What's your name, boy? Deku looked at him and said, Deku, Izuku Midoriya, but people call me Deku. He said calmly. When Izumi heard the boy's name, her expression changed to a stunned one. Izumi, no, it can't be him, but why does he remind me so much of Izuku? She thought, feeling an anguish in her chest. While Katsumi got even angrier, it wasn't possible for that idiot, Deku, to be that strong. As the Lord Izuku Midoriya said, the robot room is not worth 8 point and therefore should be ignored. It is also permitted to use equipment that helps your individuality. Now all of you will be divided into 4 areas and will take the test. I wish you good luck. Deku was given a paper labeled C, so he went to Team C's bus, where he is taken to the area where the test will take place. After all the teams were in place, the man again spoke. Very good, begin. As the gates opened, Deku used lightning speed. As he possessed the lightning authority, he could easily do this from all lightning properties, even his speed. Nobody saw him, they just saw ray particles. Everyone thought he was fixing it, since he had advanced ahead of everyone, and the man didn't even say it was to start. The boy is right, in real life there is no countdown, go go go. Everyone started to run desperately. With Deku, he was destroying every robot that appeared. In the time that had passed, and thanks to the speed of lightning, he quickly destroyed many robots using only a little of his physical strength. He had already defeated 30 Tier 1 robots, 27 Tier 2 robots, and 19 Tier 3 robots. Deku, taking into account the amount I've already killed, I must be 141 points ahead of the others by now. He thought, destroying the robots that appeared in front of him. In the observation room. Looks like this year we have some really impressive students. Lady Might, really? She said with her smile. Aizawa, they're all really good, but I'm interested in one in particular. You. Who would this person be who managed, in the entire history of U.A, to get your attention? He said in a teasing tone. Aizawa pointed to the Deku that destroyed all robots that crossed its path. This boy? There's no doubt he's the best ever to get into the U.A. He got the best grade on the written test, and it looks like he'll score more than perfect on this test too. Deku had already surpassed all expectations. He passed with a score of 100% on the written test, which would have been practically impossible as the questions were far from easy, and he was said to have finished the test in less than 1 minute. He was passing with almost 200 points in the practical test. Now there would be one more test left. What was his name again? He said, trying to remember Deku's name. His name is Izuku Midoriya. And it is said that he refused to speak his individuality. Lady Might looked in disbelief. She was looking at the boy she left on the brink of death, and who was presumed dead over 7 years ago. Aizawa, from the sparks it gives off when he runs, it must be a lightning quirk. But he could even walk at lightning speed is amazing, he said, looking at the sparks that came out of Deku's tracks. Aizawa, he must have trained a lot, but to get that high speed he deserves a round of applause. A speed that even you, Lady Might, could not achieve no matter how hard you train, he said, looking at Lady Might. You're right, Aizawa, it's really to behold the great skills demonstrated by this boy. But let's see if he's any good. He pressed a red button. About that. With Fuyumi. She was freezing the robots that appeared in front of her. Fuyumi refused to use her left side because of her past traumas. Because of the abuse she suffered from her father, etc. Endeavor looked at her quite dissatisfied. He hoped she would soon use her left side of her so that, finally, he could finally overcome Lady Might. With Izumi. She was kind of anxious. Her said brother, who was presumed dead more than 7 years ago, was alive and much stronger, as he was in the lead with 201 points, while the runner-up had only 27. Izumi, I'll finish here, I'll see my brother no matter what. She thought, refreshed, thinking about the likelihood of her brother forgiving her for all the mistakes she made. Making use of her telekinesis, Izumi crushed 2 level 3 robots. With Katsumi. She was blowing up the robots, while trying in every way to pass Deku, but the difference was gigantic. She only had 29 points now, and now Deku was down to 213. Which made her more and more frustrated to learn that she was being overcome by Deku's shit. With Deku. He's crushing a robot when everything suddenly starts shaking. Hearing the great tremor, and as he turns around he sees a giant robot, much larger compared to the others he has already defeated. Deku smiled, and at that he saw everyone run away. Someone help me. Deku didn't even care about the scream, but when he remembered that he was in an academy that formed heroes, he soon had to go back and help. When he got to the source of the voice, he saw a girl with her leg stuck by a rock. Deku, want help? Yes, please help me. He yelled at her, feeling pain in her leg. Deku touched the stones so that they all turned to dust. Deku took the girl in his arms, until he remembered Brunhilde. Deku, my god, Brunhilde is going to kill me, he thought with wobbly legs from fear. You should run away, it won't hold up against ground zero. Deku, you underestimate me, just because you guys weren't able to defeat him that I won't. He quickly dropped the boy to safety and charged at the giant robot, kicking him into the air over and over again. In the observation room. Everyone was impressed, but the biggest question is how strong is his quirk for him to send a robot that size into the air so easily. That boy, what is his quirk? No, how strong is she? Aizawa, he's not using his quirk, he said seriously. The others were shocked. Aizawa, if he had used his quirk from the start, he would have ended it a long time ago, for if his power is lightning, the robot would no longer be working and would already be completely destroyed. Aizawa, that's right, he's just using physical force to send the robot there, he said, watching Deku kick the giant robot into the sky. With Deku. He was kicking the big robot to the skies. Deku, looks like it's over. He delivered his last blow so that the robot was totally destroyed. In the observation room. What commendable physical strength, but it seems my time has come, said he, leaving the observation room. Outside the observation room. The test is over for those who are injured, the recovery girl is on the outlet to heal them. Deku went towards the girl he saved and saw that she had fainted. Picking her up, Deku took the boy to recovery girl to heal. Deku just left the girl there, he didn't want to get involved with this girl anymore, mainly because of Brunhilde. As he was leaving, a voice called out to him. Nizu, wait a minute, kid. Deku turned around and didn't even look Nizu in the eyes. Deku, what do you want? He asked disinterestedly. Nizu, I want to talk to you in my room. Deku, but I don't want to talk to you, go find someone else. Recovery Girl was shocked by the boy's attitude when talking to Nizu, who was the director of UA. Nizu Izuku Midoriya, a boy who was presumed dead by a dungeon rupture. A man who was born with no individuality and was treated like trash. Deku got a serious expression. Deku, and who would you be? Nizu, I'm the director of UA. Nizu. Deku, and what else? Just because of that you think you're superior? He said, rolling his eyes. Nizu was silent at the contempt shown by Deku. Nizu, you did very well in this test, having a total score of 224 plus 15 from the giant robot, 239, taking first place. Deku, tell me something that leads to novelty? He said, bored. Nizu, too much trust will lead to your downfall, boy. Deku, I'm not confident, it's just my voice. Nizu, since that's how it is, then you can do the dungeon test yourself. Deku, oh? That's good, friends would only get in my way. He said, smiling and starting to walk. Nizu, this boy, how much did he suffer to be like this? A friendship will never hinder you, boy, on the contrary, it will help you to rise. He thought, feeling sorry for Deku. With Deku. He was waiting with the others for the next test to begin. Everyone looked at him, because Deku had reached a note never seen before. Izumi looked at Deku nervously, she wanted to talk to him, but the shuffling of her feelings in her heart prevented her. Fuyumi looked with interest at Deku, as he was the first man in UA's history to score such a high score, as well as being first place. The boy he saved also looked at him curiously. While Katsumi exploded with rage because Deku had stolen all of her glory. So she went to take satisfaction with him. Katsumi, hey, you bucking Deku, are you trying to get in my way? She yelled, annoyed, going towards Deku. Deku completely ignored her, he doesn't even care about her naughty existence. Katsumi, hey, you shit, answer me. She screamed with fury in her eyes, trying to intimidate Deku. But he again completely ignored her, starting to walk away so he wouldn't hear Katsumi's annoying voice. Katsumi, extremely annoyed at being ignored, charged at Deku to beat him up. Deku let out a sigh and dodged the attack. Deku, you're weak, he said, grabbing Katsumi's arm and kicking her towards a wall. Deku, what impertinence. You're just a useless piece of shit who thinks you're superior to others just because you have a bucking individuality. You're nothing but garbage, a pile of human excrement. He said, appearing in front of Katsumi that he had trouble breathing. Deku grabbed her neck and started squeezing. Katsumi screamed in pain as she felt her bones being crushed, as well as not being able to breathe. The others looked on in horror at the merciless scene Deku was making. Deku released Katsumi and with a cold look. Deku, next time, think carefully before you come at me, I just didn't kill you because there are a lot of people here. He said, looking around. The others looked away so as not to be victims too. Deku started to walk, and the other people made room for him to pass. Deku, the world is cruel, don't think it's a bed of roses. It's all a bunch of pampered pears raised on milk. He said, looking around. Everyone was irritated by this, but there was nothing they could do, as the difference in strength and power was gigantic. Deku, you can go up if you want, you'll only have a broken leg or two, or in some cases, you just won't be able to walk again. He said with an expression that scared everyone. Izumi cried in her heart at the sight of the monster Izuku had become. Deku, don't think I wouldn't kill them. You better be very careful if you don't want your blood to bathe my hands. In the observation room, everyone except Endeavor looked pityingly at Deku. Especially Lady Might, since she was one of those responsible for him to become that way. Cruel and merciless. With Deku. He was standing against a wall. Until the man from before appeared. How many promising students we have this year, right? Well, the last test will be teamwork. you will enter a ranky dungeon, and we will see your performance on monster pressure, and your companionship with others. A will make all items needed in a dungeon available. Get ready and we'll see you again. Everyone started to choose their team. Deku was left alone, as he didn't want to be part of a team that would only get in the way. Give all 100 students, only 40 left. As soon as they finished choosing their teams, the man appeared again. Oh, you are very fast to choose your teams. Well, there are 5 dungeons, choose and enter the dungeon with your team. The team started to think about which one they would choose. Meanwhile, Deku had already chosen the dungeon he wanted to go to. Deku, this is the strongest dungeon among you that are here. I hope it entertains me. So the others chose their respective dungeons. I see you also choose which dungeon you will enter. It didn't end when Deku was already inside the dungeon, and then the others too, as they didn't want to be left out. These kids are so energetic, he thought with a sigh. In that he saw the dungeon that Deku had just entered change from white to orange. What despaired him, and immediately he called the others to solve. One of the biggest problems with a high-level dungeon like an orange color was that, whoever entered, will never be able to leave unless the dungeon boss, which would be impossible for a boy like Deku to complete alone. With Deku, he saw himself in a snowy forest, where there was nothing but freezing snow. Absolute zero was the temperature inside the dungeon. A human in those conditions would already be frozen to death, but this was not the case with Deku, as he had full resistance to ice, in addition to possessing the ice authority. Deku, how strange an E-rank dungeon wouldn't be like that. As I recall, an E-rank dungeon is just like the others unless a very rare phenomenon happens. Could it be that has the dungeon evolved? This is the only plausible option to understand. A high-level dungeon, how lucky am I? He thought happily, rubbing his hand quickly, which generated a flare of fire. So he quickly ran through the dungeon, killing all the monsters that appeared in front of him, and of course, collecting all the materials dropped by the monsters. All items that drop from a high-level dungeon are worth a fortune. There were ice bears, ice elves, white ogres, ice golems, ice blower, etc. All monsters that would be catalogued as S rank. Until finally he arrived at the dungeon boss. The dungeon boss was a mixture of several beings in one. Deku, what a horrible thing, and I thought I was ugly, he said, looking at boss's appearance. The boss woke up from his sleep and gave a roar to charge towards Deku, but soon had to stop because of the flames that went out. Deku had moved his hands so that the blue infernal flames would come out and surround him. What made the boss recoil on instinct? Deku, oh? He has intelligence. The boss started to open his mouth, and from it a frost started to accumulate. The ice was condensing in his mouth, and he swallowed. Boss's body seemed to get fat. Smoke started to come out, and then he shot towards Deku. The boss's attack came close to Deku, but it was instantly nullified. Deku, you're a disgrace to ice element users, you don't even deserve this authority, so I revoke it. So the boss lost his only authority. Deku, you don't even have the right to live, you insolent. The rays surrounded your body. And he shot countless rays towards the boss, that didn't even have a chance to deflect, which generated a gigantic and massive explosion of concentrated power. This burst of concentrated power killed the boss. Deku, well, it actually warmed me up, he said, snapping his fingers. Deku, at least the items he drops will be very useful, he said maliciously with a big smile when he saw the amount of items dropped. He took all the items dropped by the boss, and so he left the dungeon. Outside, Deku left the dungeon quietly under the surprised and confused look of everyone there. It was an orange rank dungeon. It was not possible for a boy like Deku to defeat. And worst of all, Deku was totally intact and without a scratch, not even on his clothes. Deku left whistling, but at that he felt a lot of flash on his face. It was the reporters who were there to know the situation of the orange dungeon that had been born out of nowhere in a white dungeon. A phenomenon that happens 1 out of 2 million times. The reporters started asking Deku several questions, who didn't even know what was going on. but he managed to escape thanks to the help of U.A, who stopped Deku's series of unwanted questions. The reporters tried everything to get Deku to interview, but U.A wouldn't let him. But it quickly became the most talked about news in the world. With Deku, he was selling all the items he received from Dungeon Orange. All items gave almost 60 billion won, as they were all high-level items. And Boss's orb was bought for a trifle of 34 billion won. He left completely satisfied with the exorbitant amount of money. Deku, how much would I earn if I sold the items I received from Hydra? As I recall, it was a red dungeon, i.e. impossible to complete, and from the news I read, it was the most dangerous red dungeon. He thought, scratching his chin. He looked at his bank balance happy, beaming like the sun. He had just made a lot of money simply by entering a dungeon. Or total gave almost 100 billion won. An amount he did not expect to receive out of the blue, as items like this were rubbish in the Helllands. When he was selling the items, sellers underestimated him just because he was a boy and placed low bids. But he was no idiot, so he soon cornered buyers who wanted to scam him. And of course, he only sold the item after all the money was transferred. He went to buy tteokbokki and kimbap to eat. While walking, Deku finally saw the items he received after killing Hydra. Book of Immortality. Item rating immeasurable. Description: an immortal like the Hydra, you won't die even after having your head cut off. Usage description: just open it, and you will get skill. Hydra summon. Item rating: Divine+++. Description: you can summon a Hydra or an army of Hydras whenever and wherever you want. Description of use: just tear the paper and shout, Hydra, or Hydras, if you want to summon an army. Fury. Item rating immeasurable. Description: the more you are hit, the stronger you will become. It will increase your defense, attack, speed, magic, dexterity, and vitality infinitely. Description of use: tear the paper and you will get the skill, activated only when you are hit. Will not activate if the hit is critical or if you die. Steal life. Item rating immeasurable. Description: the more attacks you make, the more your vitality is regenerated, and depending on the magnitude of the attack, you could steal all the enemy's health and make it your own. Vitality will increase infinitely. Or could you pass on to someone else this stolen life? Description of use: tear the paper and you will get the skill, activated when you land an attack on the enemy, can be transferred to another person when you say increase of vitality. It will not activate on enemies that have a body made of poison, acid, or a demon, as a demon's mana has been corrupted, and if the user absorbs it, it will be killed instantly. It will not activate on beings that do not have a body. Physicist. Hydra armor. Item rating: Divine++. Description: an armor containing the essence of Hydra, made from the blood, power, and scales of the true Hydra. Cannot be broken or destroyed, applies effects to enemy. Effect 1, Curse, reduces the enemy's health every second, and as a result, all the opponent's effects and powers will be drastically reduced. Running time 0-1 minutes. Effect 2, Thorn, when someone hits the armor, the poison capable of killing Hydra gods will spread within a radius of 30 meters. Effect 3, Hydra, you can become the Hydra for 10 minutes. Effect 4, Change, the armor could change appearance to whatever the wearer wanted. Effect 5, Immunity, the user becomes immune to all attacks that are directed at him within a time of 1 hour. Effect 6, Immortality, the wearer will only die when the armor wants. Description of use: just equip it, it has a life of its own, so be careful when using it. It can kill you if it doesn't like you. 8-headed blade. Item rating: Divine++. Description: a weapon that possesses the essence of Hydra, made from the blood, power, and scales of the true Hydra. Cannot be broken or destroyed, applies effects to enemy. Effect 1, Corrosion, the opponent will have their body corroded if the blade touches them. Effect 2, Paralysis, paralyzing target in an infinite loop of nightmares, until such time as the opponent's mind shatters, resulting in their death. Effect 3, Extraction, steals the enemy's soul as soon as it touches them and can transfer to anything, both inanimate and living objects. Effect 4. Sensitivity. The weapon is extremely sensitive to mana, that is, its power increases according to the growth of the user, or the amount of mana that is put in. Effect 5. Insanity. Makes the target totally mad for 5 hours. In this time, the target will lose all his abilities and his status will be that of a normal human. Effect 6. Puppet. Transforms the target into a puppet until the user wishes to remove this effect, and while the effect is active, the target will become a faithful servant, following the user's orders. Effect 7. Aura. Creates an aura around the user that protects them from physical damage, but not magical damage. Description of use. Just equip it, it has a life of its own, so be careful when using it. Extremely bloody, it can drive the user insane if used too much. Paralysis. Does not activate against enemies who use mind power. Extraction. Will not work on enemies who can manipulate their own soul. All effects if, by chance, the user hits themselves, they will die. All effects will not work if the user's enemy is much stronger than them. Hydra Necklace. Item rating, Divine+++. Description. The necklace made from the essence of hydras. It cannot be broken or destroyed. Applies various effects. Effect 1. Set is a set with Hydra armor and 8-headed blade. Effect 2. Augmentation. Multiplies up to 15 times the capabilities of all equipment the user has, as well as transferring this effect to a friend/companion. Effect 3. Set and increase. When combined with Hydra's armor and 8-headed blade, Hydra's necklace will multiply the effects of equipment by 5 times. In addition, it will remove all the negative effects that the two have on the user. Effect 4. Usurper. Has all the effects of Hydra armor and 8-headed blade. Can copy the abilities of others. Effect 5. Sensitive. Very sensitive to mana. Description of use. Just equip it, it has a life of its own, but it's passive and doesn't like killing, unlike 8-headed blade. Not inflicting any negative effects on the user, on the contrary, it gives even more buffs. Deku. Wow, this one is amazing. Now I understand why she was categorized as both a danger to humanity and the gods. Look at these items. He thought, seeing the items, eating the tekbaki and kimbap. Deku. I'll give the Book of Immortality, Rage and Lifesteal to Bruchan. And the others stay with me. He thought, rubbing his chin. He stopped by a flower shop and bought some beautiful flowers and bought some boxes of chocolates for Brunhilde. Brunhilde. With Deku. He was coming home worried what Brunhilde would do to him, since smelling a woman's perfume. Deku, I don't know who created the black infernal gates, but know that I love you, man. He thought in tears. With Rimuru. He was writing on paper. Until he sneezed. Rimuru, someone is talking about me. He thought, scratching his ear. In this he pays that he erased the paper. Rimuru, damn. With Deku. He was at your house. Deku, I came back. He said, opening the door and the company. Brunhilde, I'm in the kitchen, honey. Deku nervously walked towards the kitchen. Deku, what the? He saw Brunhilde wearing only an apron with her bra and panties. Brunhilde, oh dear, I was preparing something to eat. Deku, why are you only wearing your underwear? Why aren't you wearing your full clothes? Have more respect for your body, my dear. He said, approaching Brunhilde. He wrapped her arms around her waist and kissed her. Brunhilde, is that I don't have clothes? Deku, who, really? Brunhilde, yes, but didn't you say that you would start classes today? Deku, well, they just asked us to do 2 more tests. Brunhilde turned around with a smile and hugged him, smelling Deku's smell, but when she smelled a different smell on Deku's clothes. Cheerful expression became psychopath-like. Deku, I knew this would happen. He thought, feeling his body not responding to him, as if his body was paralyzed. Brunhilde, so you've been with another woman, haven't you? His cold voice sent constant shivers down my spine. Veins formed on Brunhilde's forehead and she began to release a giant bloodlust. With Rimuru. He looked with pity on Deku, as, unfortunately, he would meet his end at the hands of a jealous woman. Rimuru, it's really a shame, boy, but from the moment a woman is jealous, she becomes the devil herself. She thought as he placed his hand on his forehead, imagining all the pain that Deku would suffer. Seal, how is it, dear? Rimuru, see Seal? Seal, who is more serious? Rimuru, I think there's a mistake here, never said anything behind your back. Fufu, who knew you would lie to your face, you deserve punishment, darling. Rimuru knew. So he was punished. With Deku. Brunilda, so you've been with another woman, haven't you? Her voice sent constant chills up Deku's spine. Several veins formed on Brunhilde's forehead as she released a gigantic aura of bloodlust. Deku, no wait honey, that's not what you're imagining, I just had to help you. Brunilda, help her? You can't help it, not even in dreams. Deku, well, for me I would let her die, but since she was in U.A I would have had to save her, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have been accepted. He said, desperately trying to give a last-minute explanation. Brunilda removed her psychopathic expression and placed her hand on her chin. It was true, as it was a school that trained heroes, so Deku would have to prove he had the courage and kindness of a Brunilda, right, this time it passes, but next time I capo you. Deku began to tremble with the threat. Deku, well, other than that, tomorrow we're going to do some shopping, okay? Brunilda, shopping? Deku, well, to put it simply, we're going on a date where we're going to buy you some clothes. He said, putting his hand on Brunilda's cheek and caressing her. Brunhilde smiled and nodded her head weakly. Deku, I'm thinking about buying a better house because you're my queen and you deserve every comfort possible. He said with an excited smile. Brunilde had a slight shade of red on her cheeks. She suddenly grabbed Deku's face and kissed him, wrapping her hand around his neck. Deku, I have a present for you, he said calmly. Brunilde came out of the hug with a happy smile. Brunilde, and what's serious? She asked happily. Deku, here. He took the role of Fury in Stealing Life, as well as the Book of Immortality and Hydra necklace. Brunhilde took the gifts with a disappointed face, only the necklace she really liked. Deku, I know they're not what you expected, but I asked that you read the status of each item I gave you. Brunilde was curious and started to see the status. Book of Immortality. Item rating immeasurable. Description: an immortal like Hydra, you won't die even after having your head cut off. Description of use: just open it, and you will get the skill. Fury. Item rating immeasurable. Description: the more you are hit, the stronger you will become. It will increase your defense, attack, speed, magic, dexterity, and vitality infinitely. Description of use: tear the paper and you will get the skill, activated only when hit. Will not activate if the hit is critical or if you die. Steal life. Item rating immeasurable. Description: the more attacks you make, the more your vitality will be regenerated, and depending on the magnitude of the attack, you will be able to steal all the enemy's health and make it sweat. Vitality will increase infinitely. Or you could pass the stolen life on to someone else. Description of use: tear the paper and you will get the skill, activated by hitting an attack on the enemy. It can be transferred to another person when you say increase of vitality. It will not activate on enemies that have a body made of poison, acid, or if it is a demon, as the demon's mana has been corrupted, and if the user absorbs it, it will be killed instantly. It will not activate on beings that do not have a physical body. Hydra necklace. Item rating: Divine+++. Description: the necklace made from the essence of Hydra. It cannot be broken or destroyed. Applies various effects. Effect 1. Set is a set with Hydra armor and 8-headed blade. Effect 2. Augmentation, multiplies the capabilities of all equipment the user has by up to 15 times, in addition to transferring this effect to a friend. Effect 3. Set and augment. When combined with Hydra armor and 8-headed blade, Hydra necklace will multiply equipment effects by 5 times. In addition, it will remove any negative effects the two have on the user. Effect 4. Usurper, has all the effects of Hydra armor and 8-headed blade. Can copy the abilities of others and remove restrictions. Effect 5 Sensitive, very sensitive to mana. Description of use: just equip it, it has a life of its own, but it's passive and doesn't like to kill, unlike Eight-Headed Blade. Not inflicting any negative effects on the user, on the contrary, it gives even more buffs. When she finished reading, her mind stopped working for a few moments. The necklace she received a rank Divine ++++ item, while the papers and book were rank immeasurable. Brunhilde and shocked to Deku after items. Deku, seeing her reaction, smile. Deku, it was the items that received that Hydra from the Red Dungeon, remember? The first time we met. Brunhilde, those were the items that dropped? Deku, yes, but I found no use for them in myself, as I have the 7 virtues and the 7 sinners. Brunhilde, and will you give it to me? She shouted excitedly. Deku sure belongs to you now. Brunhilde jumped on Deku and kissed him repeatedly on every corner of his face. As she said, "Thank you." Deku, calm down, my queen, he said, running his hand through Brunhilde's hair. Brunhilde, how can I protect myself? I simply received 2 immeasurable items and a divine item +++. How do you expect my reaction? She screamed, making Deku shrug. Brunhilde, Hydra's immortality, does that mean I'll heal like you? Deku, by the way, yes. You will be able to regenerate even if your head is decapitated. Brunhilde, and this cola, that's amazing too. Amazing, the buff effects it gives are splendid. I dare say I could launch a war because of this item. But now it made me curious. Hydra armor and the 8-headed blade, this really left me intrigued. Deku, they will also drop when I defeated Hydra. They are a set with Hydra necklace. Brunhilde looked at him, smiling. Deku, but unfortunately I can't give it to you, he said, making Brunhilde sad, as she expected him to give both items to her too. Brunhilde, why? Her tone was melancholy. Deku, don't be sad, my queen. If it were up to me I would give both, however, they are also a big problem. Brunhilde, problem? What problem? She asked with a raised eyebrow. Deku, the Hydra armor has a life of its own and it can kill you if you aren't worthy enough. Like the 8-headed blade, it also has a life of its own, however, if you are accepted, your sanity will drain the more you use it. Brunhilde pouted when she saw the problems she would have had to face if Deku had given her the other parts. In this she remembered the Hydra necklace, which negated the negative effects of Hydra armor, and the 8-headed blade. Brunhilde, wait, and my necklace? Deku, it's true, he would deny the negative effects of both, but even then we wouldn't know if he would be accepted as a worthy carrier. Brunhilde clicked her tongue in frustration. Brunhilde, but then, dear, what do you want to eat? Kimbap? Bulgogi? Or will you want to eat me? She said, sounding sensual. Brunhilde started to roll over Deku's pants, making him excited. Brunhilde, let's go to the main course, she thought, licking her lips. With Rimuru. He had just come out of his punishment. Rimuru, and then, what happened? Author, in short, Brunhilde offered to cook his food and then. Rimuru, no. I understand everything, don't say anything else, he said, interrupting the author. Rimuru, I totally understand their ruse there. First they offer to make the food and then they offer to make the main black. With Deku. Brunhilde, but then, dear, what will you want to eat? Kimbap? Bulgogi? Or will you want to eat me? Brunhilde started to roll over Deku's pants, making him excited. Deku, damn, when did she get this hexy? He thought, feeling excited by Brunhilde's teasing. Deku, shit, I got excited. He squeezed Brunhilde's waist. Brunhilde, kya? Deku grabbed her around the waist. Brunhilde looked at him with hearts in her eyes, instead of the pupil. Deku, now you made me horny, now you will have to suffer the consequences of your actions. He started massaging Brunhilde's large breasts, which turned her on. Deku, you will have to suffer the real punishment. I'll tell you soon, you won't sleep tonight. He took Brunhilde's face, which was perspiring heavily, and turned it to him, kissing her wildly and with enough vigor and lasciviousness. Deku's hand began to explore Brunhilde's body parts more and more, until it reached the most intimate areas. Author, from now on there will be obscene content. If you don't like this type of content, I recommend you skip it. Please understand me, this is my first time creating something related to this. Deku started playing with Brunhilde's vagina, making her let out some moans. Deku pulled her bra, revealing her big breasts. He started massaging and playing with her nipples. And with the other one, he started to be more aggressive with her vagina, which became wetter and fluids from her dripped from her legs. Deku bit Brunhilde's neck, making her give a low moan mixed with pain and lust. Deku gave Brunhilde a violent kiss, who was now feeling stimulation in her vagina, breasts, and tongue. Brunhilde couldn't hold back and reached ecstasy, coming on Deku's fingers. Brunhilde's legs gave way and she fell to the ground. Deku looked at his hand full of Brunhilde's fluids. Deku, my goodness, seems like you've been wanting this for a long time, he said in a teasing tone. Brunhilde had a vein on her forehead and jumped on Deku, causing him to fall. Brunhilde, not just me. He ran his hand over Deku's body to Deku's pants and pulled it down. Brunhilde smiled, while her nanny oozed. She pulled Deku's underwear, thus revealing the big monster he was hiding. Brunhilde, Fufu, look how excited he is. She placed her hand on Deku's member, feeling it very hot. Brunhilde, it's hot, she thought, touching the member of Deku. She put her face close to his member, feeling the full of sweat that made her even more aroused. Brunhilde, this smell, how magnificent, sweat mixed with lust, what an impeccable combination, she thought as her pupils were heart-shaped. She started doing the up and down motion over and over again. Brunhilde felt Deku's member become thicker, hotter and throbbing. 10 minutes went by and no Deku came. While Brunhilde was breathing heavily, her vaginal fluids flowed wildly down her leg. Deku smiled and saw Brunhilde's vagina going soft. Deku put his fingers in her vagina and started playing with Brunhilde's clit. Brunhilde came when she felt Deku's fingers thrust into her vagina. Brunhilde bit her lips, indignant at the fact that only she enjoyed. She bit her lips harder, while her eyes glazed over from so much pleasure. Brunhilde's resistance soon became futile, and she allowed herself to be given over to this phenomenal pleasure. She came again, squirting in Deku's face. Brunhilde squeezed Deku's member hard and took it to her mouth, doing it more aggressively and with greater will. She licked, running her tongue over the head, down the body, until she sucked his balls with total aggression and lust. The ambition to have all that body all to herself only fueled her lust. His loud, horny moans ran through the whole house, waking up the nearest neighbors. The women next to them, when they felt that smell of love in the air, woke up their husbands too. The smell of Brunhilde's horny and her loud and excited screams made the women crazy with horny too. So, unfortunately, some soldiers fell. 15 minutes passed and Deku finally reached ecstasy, filling Brunhilde's mouth with semen. Brunhilde came again, but this time in the mouth of Deku, who was sucking her clit. Brunhilde, how much semen? So this is the taste of semen. It tastes weird, but at the same time it makes me want more. He thought. She felt her ears wag. Tasting the semen, Brunhilde felt her body even hotter. On fire. Come hot, I'm boiling. Brunhilde couldn't take it anymore and got up to stand on top of Deku's member. Brunhilde, perverted voice, do you want to? Do you want him inside me, baby? He said lustfully, rubbing himself on top of Deku's member, with a totally distorted expression of Brunhilde's from about 40 minutes ago. Deku slapped her hard on the ass, causing her to moan loudly in pain and pleasure again. Brunhilde took Deku's member and slowly put it in her vagina. Deku's member entered easily because of how wet her vagina was, in addition to the fluids that oozed out. Her vaginal folds began to suck on Deku's member, milking him. A trickle of blood ran down her vagina. Brunhilde moaned, still unsatisfied. And in sudden movements she started to sit on Deku's member with force. Brunhilde, it's good, very good, oh shit, amen, I can think straight, my mind is blank, she thought, increasing the speed of her bounces. Brunhilde grabbed Deku's neck and started to pull away, while deliberately, her rides became louder. Sweat mixed with each other's fluids. What made their bodies sticky, but made Hex even more pleasurable. Brunhilde took her hand from Deku's neck and, with her hand, she passed over Deku's sweaty body. And with her remaining hand, Brunhilde took Deku's hand and placed it on her big breasts. Brunhilde moaned uncontrollably, the Deku member beat and bounced relentlessly. So Deku's member went through her uterus. His intense moans woke the whole neighborhood. While her neighbors were jealous of her for having a mood that could satisfy her and make her moan so uncontrollably. Deku stood up suddenly, slapping Brunhilde's ass hard. "Deku, you're too loose, it seems your punishment is still insufficient." He put Brunhilde on all fours and put his boy back inside her. Brunhilde moaned loudly in pleasure as she felt Deku's member cross her uterus again. Deku pulled Brunhilde's hair, increasing the force of his thrusts inside her. Brunhilde moaned uncontrollably, asking Deku to be more brutal and violent with her. Deku slapped Brunhilde's fat ass twice hard, and said, "Deku, you can't ask me for anything while you're on your punishment." He growled, grabbing her hair with one hand and her neck with the other. Brunhilde felt that another orgasm was near, and this one was one of the great ones. Reaching ecstasy again, Brunhilde felt her arms go numb. Deku took her crawling to the living room. He released Brunhilde, causing her to fall on the rug in the living room. But he didn't give her any rest. He had said Brunhilde wouldn't sleep tonight no matter how hard she tried. Deku savagely lifted Brunhilde's ass and thrust her member into her again, making her moan even louder this time. Deku took one of Brunhilde's arms and started sucking her fingers. He placed one of Brunhilde's legs on his shoulder, revealing even more of her aching vagina. Brunhilde was internally ashamed of what she was doing, but her body didn't reject it, and she was sincere with every thrust Deku made. Her face showed pure pleasure and lust. Her tongue sticking out, eyes glazed with a few drops of tears, hair totally messed up, her neck with Deku's bite marks, nipples hard from his touches. Her ass red from so much she took it, her legs shaking not taking it anymore, but her vagina was still sucking Deku's member furiously, trying to milk him in every way. The sound of each thrust mixed with sweat and fluids made the space even more luxurious. Brunhilde's screams asking him to Deku be even faster, more brutal generated even more envy in the women of the neighborhood. 2 hours went by of screaming this way and screaming this way. And Deku had finally reached ecstasy, pouring all his seeds inside Brunhilde. Brunhilde was sobbing unconsciously at the madness they were doing. She couldn't even think straight, she was so horny. Your mind blank thinking of just one thing. The Deku member. Inside her. Brunhilde fell to the floor thinking she was done. Her sobs were so loud, but at that she saw Deku's member get hard again. Brunhilde swallowed hard when she saw Deku approaching. "Deku, get on your knees," he said in an authoritative tone. Brunhilde, not resisting those orders, got on her knees, which caused the semen that was inside to leak. She saw this and desperately started using her mouth to clean the floor. "Deku, why are you crying over spilled milk? When can you take it straight from the source?" Her voice petrified Brunhilde, who quickly got up and started sucking Deku's member for more semen. Deku took her head and started doing the movements with greater speed. Brunhilde came again with that, and then Deku sat on the sofa. Then it would be a real terror to clean the sofa and the house. "Deku, use your boobs." Brunhilde started to do a Spanish in it. She started to desire the Deku member even more. 20 minutes passed and Deku came, spreading his semen over Brunhilde's breasts and face. Brunhilde passed her hand over her face, taking the semen and started sucking her fingers. She saw that there were on her breasts too and put them in her mouth. Brunhilde climbed onto Deku's lap with her heart in her eyes, breathing heavily. Her appearance looked like a real bore. Brunhilde begged Deku to continue having sex with her. And her wish was fulfilled as Deku kept having sex with her all night. Or as they say, the night is young. They kept having sex, using the most diverse positions, even the strangest. Their sex lasted until 3 in the afternoon the other day. The neighborhood didn't sleep, and people who passed heard Brunhilde's loud groans, embarrassed with such little shame. At 3 in the afternoon, Brunhilde couldn't take it any more and passed out. Author, here ends things. The rest don't have to worry. Deku took a shower and left Brunhilde in bed, canceling the date they had today. Deku had to wait for 2 days inside so Brunhilde could walk again. When Brunhilde was able to walk again, they immediately went to meet about that. In the skies, there were many goddesses who were envying Brunhilde and wanted to kill her. Well, you really saw her moments with Deku. And they should say, envy consumed them entirely. Just like your lust and desire. They could see from Brunhilde's expression and the size of Deku's member that that night was extremely pleasurable and fun. One night they even started masturbating thinking about him. Surely they wanted it urgently. Feel all that pleasure go through your bodies, feel the same horny sensation that Brunhilde felt. But they wouldn't be able to do that for a while, as they had to take care of everything thanks to the death of several important gods, such as Zeus, Hades, Poseidon, Susanoo, Apollo, Zarafuku, Anunus, Loki and Odin. With the unexpected deaths of so many gods, the most important women from each pantheon had to take their place, managing everything. That is, they would only have to contemplate themselves with their fingers, masturbating thinking about Deku. With Hercules, he also saw everything that happened in those hot moments between Brunhilde and Deku. In his heart, there was a mixture of hate, rancor, anger, envy, jealousy and obsession. All at once directed to Deku. His hatred for Deku stealing Brunhilde's first time. Anger at Deku for stealing his wife. Your envy at seeing the big ass that Deku made with Brunhilde, becoming even the most talked about subject by the goddesses. Deku became hated by all male gods. His jealousy to see Brunhilde exchange him for Deku. And your obsession with Brunhilde. Now he would have to have Brunhilde for better or worse. Even if it means having to grape her for it. Kidnap her, it doesn't matter. He was going to have her anyway, and how he was going to have the help of the other gods. It would be a great help. With Izumi. She told her mother Inko about the fact that Izuku is still alive, and that he will be attending UA. Inko was happy about this as Izumi would have an opportunity to apologize to Izuku. With Katsumi. She was also telling her mother, Mitsuki, about the fact that Deku was still alive and that he was the masked man with the long green hair and black who had nearly broken his arm. Mitsuki was surprised by this, and soon called Inko to let her know. However, Inko already knew thanks to Izumi.
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.